third tonight in Darlington. It'll be Matt Cox is outside in the 32. A pair of teammates there for BMP. Back on row number 3, it's Corey Moore in the all-blue colors tonight. He had such a great run at the Roval last year in this paint scheme. He brings it back tonight. He'll go from 5th. Alan Dobbs for Redline goes from the 6th position. Row 4, Nico Garcia debuts tonight in car number 8, his first start of 2026. He'll start from 7th. Alongside him, it's Jose Medina in the 24. And rounding at the top 10, it's Mark Sanchez in the 29. Should have had a better run than he did last week at Las Vegas. He'll go from 9th tonight. And Blaine Wilson brings out the Sports Clips colors tonight from 10th.
Yeah, starting off things in row 6, we have Sean Richards in the 44 and Timothy Harper in the 23. And out in row 7, looking at Nigel Christensen in that 20 DeWalt paint scheme. And then on the outside of him is Kyle Holden in the 97. Starting off 15th is Paul Gallimore, and on the outside of him in 16th is Barry Sanders. In 17th starting position, Brandon Fetterplace looking for a good run here tonight, and Hunter Carmichael on the outside of him in 18th. In 19th, Kenny Reel in that 99 Precision car, and to the outside of him, Jim Treat in the 6th.
Some cars looking for good runs towards the tail of the top 20. Some more on the row number 11. Johnny Shade will go from 21st. Unfortunately, a starting part for him last week, but he'll try to pick it up tonight with the Lady in Black. William Owens alongside him in 22nd. Row 12 sees BMP's Darren Mills go alongside Matt Metler for Redline in the 7 machine. Back on row 13, it's Nick King for Warrior Racing. He'll go from 25th, and Ryan Catalano alongside him. New Top It Off Hot Sauce colors aboard his 92. He'll go from 26th position. Tonight, the final car listed on our starting grid. And there are some more cars towards the tail of the field, by the way, including Matt Cox, who has opted to pit start tonight. The other cars in the grid, Cody Nagels, Brandon Bowie, Aaron Matthews, Shane Davis, Blake Hoshill will round out the top 30. Cox and Chris Cornett will pit start tonight from 31st and 32nd. 200 laps the race distance tonight. Our first 2 stages are shorter jaunts at 45 laps apiece. The third stage, 110. Zach, that third stage, between the strategy that goes into tires and fuel here and just the attrition that can take hold from Darlington Raceway and the amount of Darlington stripes we'll see tonight, that third stage is sure to take some drivers by surprise. 110 laps in length.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to keep your nose clean here for the first stage and the second, both 45 laps apiece. But yeah, if you can keep your car clean and keep your strategy on tap and get some stage points, you're going to set yourself up for a really good stage 3.
Well, Darlington Raceway, already one of the toughest surfaces in the circuit to negotiate, but today a little bit of added conditions for these drivers to deal with. 79 degrees outside, but you'll note that track temp, 106 degrees on this pavement here tonight for the Moonshiners Racing League. That is sure to create some handling problems inside these race cars. Some humidity, not a ton of wind to deal with on the entries to these corners that are tough as is, but that heat in the track is sure to make for some interesting factors for these drivers. Zach, really quickly before we get ready to go green, Darlington, a tough place, but a place these drivers, whoever can conquer it the best early, will likely go to victory lane.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a driver's track tonight. Who cares about the setup in the car? For the most part, they're all equal across all those teams, but if the driver can conquer all 4 corners, you're going to be able to be in a good spot here at the finish. One thing to think about, really, is you're not really driving the rest of the field. Really, you're trying to drive the track and maintain your starting position and hopefully keep your track position as the stage wears on.
Well, did want to apologize for a bit of a late start tonight for this one, but we are just in time for the start of tonight's Victory Designs 275 from Darlington Raceway. Thank you so much for your attendance tonight. We hope you're as ready as we are for racing action at the Lady in Black. Who will conquer the track? Too tough to tame on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Alex Coffey and Alex Murray bring the field off turn 4. For the first time, we are under the green flag. We're racing in Darlington. And trouble right off the start. Vincent gets turned. Dobbs is around a multi-car accident right on the start of the race, and the caution flags out for the first time, just 100 feet past the green flag.
Yeah, we did not make it far in this one. Let's look at the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay here as they come into the start zone and really waiting for that green flag, and it's just going to be commotion right off the bat.
And I'll tell you, this was something I was wondering about. I did not quite have time to mention it on the opening start. but last night I got to watch some racing at the Darlington Raceway, got to be on the microphone, and this was a problem then too. Rear tire spin on the opening start, almost an identical accident to the one I saw last night, is going to collect a couple of cars. Chris Vinson, that's the blue and white 33. It's actually Alan Dobbs for Redline that spins the tires first. These guys out back scramble to move out of the way. Luckily for them, those two cars bail off the racetrack. William Owens, though, it appears has some form of trouble here on this one as well in the 30. So a trio of cars involved. You'll watch right here. Dobbs gets a hit from behind from Medina, but then no contact from there. You'll see the rear tires are just spinning. They're not grabbing the racetrack. And that sends the 33 and the 35 for a slide. No one else involved in a big way. So first caution flag is just about as soon as we took the green flag. Benefits, of course, the guys that started on the pit lane. Really quickly, did want to thank Top It Off Hot Sauce Company for their sponsorship of the replays. Receive 15% off your entire order at topitoffsauce.com using code MRL15. Well, Zach, lap 3 on the board and already under the caution flag. You know, being in the race car, a place as tough as Darlington is so stringent on your rhythm behind the wheel. An early caution, it does not do much for the nerves, and it certainly does not do much for the rhythm trying to race the racetrack along with the other drivers around you.
No, speaking of really the rhythm in the racetrack, I was able to race last night here, finish P2. Hats off to me. But besides that, really looking at how the racetrack runs, you really want to focus on that rhythm like you talked about. And I think the biggest thing I focused on last night was my exit out of turn 2, making sure I arced it down, got a good run onto the backstretch to really set up turn 3 and 4, and that's what the guys are going to want to focus on once they get single file and try to really pace themselves away from the rest of the field.
Not a ton of opportunity to get single file in this opening stage. Again, 45 laps the length of this first stage and of the second stage. So we will look forward to how this first stage unfolds, because again, tires are going to be a factor. Certainly the hot track temp and just the nature of this Gen 7 race car lend itself to tire wear being a factor, but also as the run gets longer, again, your rhythm, the fatigue factor can come in as well as you get closer and closer to the end of that stage. That certainly will be a factor. Also, you'll see a couple of the drivers take the wave around here. Those are the two that started on pit road, Matt Cox and Chris Cornett. So both of them will get back around to the tail end of the lead lap. Alex Coffey continues to lead. He's actually elected the outside lane for this, the first restart of the evening so far. Alex Murray, his teammate, will be alongside him in the second spot. Jose Medina, Nico Garcia now on row 2. A bit of a shuffle from row 2 on back, so it's now Garcia on the inside, Medina on the outside. Row 3 is Mark Sanchez and Kyle Holden. And then you get back to the Sean Rogers, the new red paint scheme aboard his car. Barry Sanders is back there towards the tail of the top 10 as well as Hunter Carmichael and Nigel Christensen. Well, let's try this again. The opening start did not go quite as planned, but our first trip into Vanderlei Sticker's restart zone coming up here on lap 4. 196 still to go. Let's give this another shot. Alex Coffey sees the pace car take the hard left. The field is in his hands as he rolls off turn 4 and into the restart zone for the first time. Let's give it another shot, shall we? Green flag is in the air. We're racing again from Darlington.
One thing to note there on that restart is Jose Medina already has nose damage, so that's going to be something to watch here in this opening stage.
You already don't want to have any damage on your race car racing against a track as tough as Darlington. You'll hear me say that a lot tonight, racing the racetrack more necessarily than the competitors around you, and certainly that's what Medina is doing. 3 wide towards the tail end of the top 20. Johnny Shade aggressive early in this opening run as he went to the inside of Jim Treat. That was actually just inside the top 15, so Shade is on the move early. A couple of other cars behind him find themselves in good position here early. Looking back at Shade as he attacks Brandon Fetterplace. That is for 11th. Of course, we mentioned Johnny Shade, the troubles that he had last week. And looking to rebound from it this week in Darlington. He runs right now in the 12th spot. Everything is singled out really quickly. But Jose Medina, you talked about that nose damage on the 24. He has gotten the wall in 1 and 2. He's earned the first Darlington stripe of the night.
Yeah, he's definitely got some handling problems right now. You saw Kyle Holden in that 97 be able to get around him there on that opening lap off the restart. And if I'm Medina, I'm just going to hold on, right? Not try to get in anyone's way. Try to keep my pace up, but keep it out of the wall. Keep the damage to a minimum.
Sean Rogers by him. That is for the 5th spot. Medina still going backwards. Now under attack from Nigel Christensen. Trouble out behind these guys. There's a couple of cars sideways and down towards the inside wall. It may very well draw the caution. Aaron Matthews, Alan Dobbs, who we saw in the opening lap incident. The caution will not come out as this was towards the tail end of the field. Looks like Matt Mettler may have collected a piece of this. Blaine Wilson got a piece of this as well in the 18 for Dig eSports. So a number of cars that were running just outside of the top 10 are involved. The Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. This was, again, just outside the top 10. You're actually looking a bit further back at where Alan Dobbs was running. The incident's going to start in front of them. A number of Darlington stripes earned there in turns 1 and 2. So it's back around Dobbs. Cody Nagels is in this fight, as well as Timothy Harper. There was the contact with Dobbs that sent him sideways towards the inside wall. A couple of other cars involved as well, including Aaron Matthews.
Yeah, and that's just not what you want to see right off the bat there. You're already struggling. Maybe you're a little farther in the back. You're trying to get some track position, and he was just able to touch that left rear there coming out of turn 2 and put a couple cars sideways. More action, as you see it right there on the replay. And obviously those cars able to keep it straight, so no caution there.
So yeah, it was Ryan Catalano was the other cars. Aaron Matthews, Ryan Catalano, Blaine Wilson, Alan Dobbs. Looked like Cody Nagels may have gotten a piece of that, so some red line on red line violence there towards the tail end of the field as well. So the track proving to be as tough as advertised so far. Impressive run so far. The debuting Nico Garcia is hanging with not only last week's winner Alex Murray right up in front of him, but Alex Coffey, the defending winner here at the Lady in Black. Garcia, the black and orange number 8, runs third right now, up 4 from where he started. A couple of big movers inside the top 10. Kyle Holden just behind them, and fourth is plus 10. But the caution flag is out once again, just past the lap 10 mark. This one is going to involve a couple cars over in turn 4. Cody Nagels, Corey Moore. Amongst those involved, there you see Johnny Shade. He's got critical damage to his 45, so right after I talked about needing a good run, he's got pretty severe nose damage to his red, white, and black number 45 for the Dig eSports camp. This was a few Dig cars running back around each other off turn number 2. It's actually going to happen up on the entrance of turn 1. Moore trying to get alongside Johnny Shade. Washes up the racetrack on entry just a little. Pins the 45 to the outside wall. Kenny Reel nowhere to go in the 99 as he gets a piece. Field behind them trying to come to a stop in the secondary. But it's Moore and Shade, again a pair of stablemates at Dig eSports that get into each other there.
As you're on board here with Kenny Reel, and he slows it down for the corner, and his momentum's just going to take him to the top here. So he's going to grab a little bit of damage on the front end there, maybe on the right front. And as you can see, more cars just piling in after their heavy contact there in the back, trying to slow up for those cars.
So the second caution for incident here on lap 11, a pair of early stoppages to the action. Alex Coffey continues to be your leader. We were talking about the movers right there. Most of the drivers inside the top 10 have moved 4 or more positions. In fact, 8 of them have moved 4 or more positions into the top 10, make that 7. Back to Mark Sanchez in the 10th spot. A couple of movers outside the top 10. Jim Treat is on the move. Chris Cornett, after pit starting, he's on the move as well. You're on board with Ryan Catalano, and I'll tell you what, not the angle that I would have wanted if I was a driver early on at Darlington. Sitting on pit road, addressing damage. No fast repair tonight. Behind the 8 ball is Catalano, but again, that damage, to me, does not look too bad there in the Top It Off Hot Sauce machine.
Yeah, he's got some nose damage there for sure, so he'll try to fix that up, probably stay on the lead lap, and hopefully get another caution. I mean, the good thing for all these guys that do have that damage right now is you're going to end up getting a caution here for stage 1, right? And you see Kenny Reel, he's dialed in right now, running 13th, so he's not in a bad spot either. Mid-pack right now, hopefully can gain a couple more spots for some stage points.
So some chatter going on amongst the team right there. Of course, Kenny Reel running with the Redline Racing Group. Another onboard camera, Sean Rogers. He continues to have that, what we thought to be an invasive green light behind his setup there, and he continues to run with that, so it must be some kind of good luck charm for him. Of course, Justin Prince mentioning that a few weeks ago to open the season, but for Sean Rogers, an interesting setup to say the least there. We are just about ready to go back under the green flag one more time on lap 13 as Alex Coffey now is going to switch back. He'll elect the bottom lane for this restart. He took the top lane on the opening restart, so some test runs for some later restarts, perhaps. Do really quickly want to thank our Stage 1 sponsor, Collegiate Football Simulation League, the top collegiate simulation league. Create your legacy by visiting collegesimleague.com today. More on board towards the tail end. You're looking on board with Alan Dobbs towards the tail end of this field, and not the start that he wanted either in the 35 for Redline, but a long ways to go. 187 laps still to be run tonight. Dobbs has gotten that car cleaned up. He is ready to go back to work in the 15th position right now. Pace car is off. We'll give this another attempt here on lap 14. 187 to go in the race. 32 to go in stage 1. Coffee and Murray, the Alex and Alex show on the front row. Their Dig stablemates will bring the field back into the restart zone. Green flag. Coffee off and running. Garcia off and running. Murray may have missed the memo a little bit. He's going to lose a spot or two because of it.
We'll see how that 8 car really does here in the top groove. Now he's got some dirty air on his nose, so we'll see if he can contend here for the lead over Coffee.
Well, something else I've noticed throughout this week, the aero wash is still a problem on the front end of this next-gen race car. You want to get a headlight out of line. That's what Garcia is going to do over here in turns 3 and 4. The outside has been the more dominant line, but it's also been the line that's taken away more of the equipment on board these race cars. And by that I mean tire wear has been a little bit worse when you run on the high line up by the outside retaining wall. Coffee maintains the lead for now. As Garcia and Murray fall in line, Sean Rogers has worked into the picture in the 44. Brandon Fetterplace, meanwhile, further back, made a pass on Nigel Christensen. That is for 6th. A couple of other drivers on the move. Barry Sanders, Jim Treat, Timothy Harper trying to get back into the top 10 for the first time here in this race. A number of drivers on the move early. It's singled out once again. I got to imagine a lot of these drivers are hoping to get into a long green flag run as Garcia challenges Coffee again over here in turn 1.
Yeah, you definitely want to settle in and find that rhythm that we talked about earlier in the show, and that's something you're going to have to find as the race goes on and this track rubbers up and changes throughout the course of the day.
Coffee drops down that time, and Garcia, you see that aero wash. That car wants to push tight. When Coffee drives across his nose right there into turn 3, what that does, it creates some bad air. That air is angry off the front end of the car. It makes it want to push out towards the outside wall. That's what Alex Coffey's trying to do right now to prevent Nico Garcia from finding a way around him. Garcia going to have to change his line. He's already tried a couple of different solutions to that. By the way, Timothy Harper did make the pass on Jim Treat. That was for 10th, so Harper's on the move. Good finish for him last week in Las Vegas. He looks to make it 2 for 2 tonight in Darlington. A couple of other cars, by the way, on the move as well, and it's a couple of the red line cars. Kenny Reel back up to 12th after his involvement in an incident, actually making a pass on Jim Treat for 11th. His teammate Alan Dobbs going to try to follow him through on the bottom. Red line racing cars appear to be dialed in early in this race as well.
Yeah, we'll see if Kenny Reel can hop up in here into the points for the end of the stage 1, but he's starting to drive away and really set his sights on his next competitor.
Reel looking for stage points. Again, those are paid out 10-1 in order of your stage finish to the top 10 finishers in each stage. And in a chase format, that is so much more important than it has been in previous years. You continue to watch the battle. Now you're on board with Dobbs as he goes after Jim Treat. That is for the 12th position on the racetrack. Almost some contact there in turns 1 and 2. Treat trying to avoid the Darlington stripe. Dobbs trying to get off the corner. They're going to make contact. Dobbs goes sideways. He's going to go around, and trouble behind them almost as a couple of cars come together. Dobbs comes back up. No harm, no foul. Vincent was one of the other cars involved. A couple of others getting into that as well. Mark Sanchez may have had a piece of that. A couple of others. Blake Hoschild, the debuting driver in the 38, was also one of those around that incident, but everyone gets away. Brandon Bowie was back there in the 51 as well. Everyone gets away from some more early trouble. Drivers really struggling with the track conditions so far.
Yeah, Alan Dobbs there making contact coming out of 2, and a great save by him to keep it off the racetrack and allow other drivers by, but he lost a bucket full of spots there.
A number of spots working down the order. Sean Rogers has now worked himself into the party. Kyle Holden, Brandon Fetterplace trying to join him as Rogers is up to the 4th spot. Now trying to attack Alex Murray for the 3rd position, and you see kind of what I was talking about a moment ago with that aero wash across the front of Rogers' car. Rogers getting into the corner had to lift a little bit more to leave Alex Murray about a car length and a half so that he did not get those negative aero effects across the front of his car. Now in turn 3, he can poke the headlight out, get a little bit of clean air across that car, and wrap the bottom side of the racetrack. Over in turns 1 and 2, there's not been a ton of variation in lines so far. Turns 3 and 4, guys will run everywhere. Turns 1 and 2, it's pretty unified. You want to diamond the corner. What I mean by that, drive in low, work out to the outside wall, and be able to turn that car down the hill to drive straight off turns 1 and 2. Everyone has been doing that to the front so far. But over in 3 and 4, you'll see it right here. Many different experimenting going on, the guys in the top 6.
Yeah, you really talk about turn 1 and 2, and between these top 4 guys right now, you're going to see them coming to this corner, and a couple of guys are going to lead and go ahead. really, some of them are going to really back up the corner and try to get a run here in the center of the corner. And that's the difference in 1 and 2. And you talk about turn 3 and 4, a lot of different lanes you can run. You can run high on entry, you can run low and start that diamond if you wanted to. But there's a lot of different variations you're going to see coming into turn 3 and 4 here. On board with Alex Murray, you're going to see here he's going to drift up the track, try to diamond that corner, and get his car turned heading out of the front stretch.
That's the fastest way around turns 3 and 4 as we've seen this week. The problem is it also burns the most Goodyear on your race car, so we're going to have to be careful with how many times he uses that outside lane, or at least how much tire that he chooses to use, how much throttle he wants to use on exit, running that outside lane. Holden and Fetterplace continue to work into the picture. You're still on board here with Alex Murray as he continues to work on Nico Garcia. Garcia working to the inside of Alex Coffey. He's gotten more aggressive over the last couple laps. Some big movers, and guys I was just looking at actually, Chris Cornett pit started from 32nd, is all the way up to 12th early in this race. Brandon Bowie, winner from a couple of weeks ago at Phoenix, also the winner from COTA. He's up 15 spots here. Matthews is up 15 spots, so is Blake Hauschild. A trio, quad of drivers actually up 15 or more spots. Guys attacking the racetrack early are having success. Cornett, how about that? 32nd to 12th early at Darlington. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, Chris Cornett doing a great job early here in stage 1, and you see a really big gap up to Kenny Reel there running in 11th, and then the pack starts to form up inside that top 10 with a 4-car breakaway with Timmy Harper at the tail end of that holding the top 10.
The last points paying position, Harper would love to get some points, as with some guys in front of him that maybe have not had the start to the season that they have wanted so far. I look at Sanderson, Christensen, and Carmichael. Those guys have had some bad luck early in the season. That tends to happen. Looking to get it back here in Darlington, but some guys have had good starts, looking to continue those good starts. Of course, Alex Coffey, that goes without saying, but Alex Murray has been one of the most competitive cars in the field. Of course, finally breaks through to win last week in Las Vegas. I'd love to keep it going forward. Sean Rogers been competitive early in this season as well. Some guys outside the top 10. Of course, Cornett we talked about. Bowie has been good to start this season. William Owens, again, we'll talk about him a little bit later on in the show. He runs 14th right now. A number of guys that would love to get some stage points. Owens in particular off to a really, really good 2026 so far.
Yeah, he's done a great job overall his rookie campaign, and he's really found himself in a good spot in points too, being inside that chase, and obviously a top 3 finish last week at Las Vegas. So a good start for him to the season. He's got to keep that momentum up. You got tonight, then you're heading to Martinsville, then you have that off week. So if he can put 2 solid weeks together, he's going to be in a solid spot going into that off week.
18 laps to go will become 17 in stage 1 when Alex Coffey comes back around to the flag stand and works back past the start-finish line. Alex Murray has begun to really work on Nico Garcia now for second. You were just watching the battle that is ongoing for 5th as Fetterplace has driven up to Kyle Holden's back bumper. So there are battles here inside the top 6 positions. On board now with Timothy Harper. This is back towards the tail end of those stage points. Harper trying to work on Hunter Carmichael, but he has got Kenny Reel that has continued to be slowly closing into this battle for the last few stage points positions. Reel's car dialed in early in the 11th position there. You see that gap is closed up just a little bit as Kenny Reel's been able to drive up towards the top 10 spot in stage 1. Reel, another guy whose season not necessarily off to the start that he wanted, but here in Darlington, you could easily get back on track. Reel off to a good start in doing that so far, trying to get into this battle for 10th. Johnny Shade, by the way, has just gone 1 lap down to the leaders as the 54 of Coffey works past him. You're on board with Reel. These cars are getting bigger in his front end, in his front windshield rather. Will he get there is the question. Only 15 laps to negotiate.
Well, Dawson, you could say that Kenny Reel is reeling them in for those stage points there, so we'll see if he can catch up to him. And he's got plenty of time. He's definitely got the car to do it, right? So now it's just finding that rhythm, driving up to him, and then what are you going to do to make that pass? Where are you going to set it up? Where are you better on track than they are? And what lane do you want to try to run and get out of that dirty air?
In front of the field, it continues to be Alex Coffey. He's actually started to set sail. You're on board back towards the middle part of the field with Mark Sanchez. He has lost 8 positions from where he started inside the top 10. Got a piece of a couple of different small incidents throughout the night trying to get back on the comeback train. Is the 29. A slip right in front of him there from Aaron Matthews, but he was able to keep that car underneath him. We go back up front of the battle for second. This continues to materialize. Nico Garcia, I almost wonder here, late in the stage, just a little bit of I don't want to call it rookie jitters, but a little bit of adrenaline that gets going. You make your first start, you're running up front, you know your car is dialed in, it's fast. And did he potentially use a little bit too much of those Goodyear Eagles on board that Chevrolet early in stage one? He's suffering some of the consequences of that tire wear, I think, now as we get later towards the end of this stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's struggling right now, but obviously Coffey's starting to pull away from that second and third place car, and now it comes down to, can Alex Murray really find a way around Garcia? Does he have the better car? Does he have the better traction, right? Does the grip hold up? And obviously we talk about the dirty air, we'll talk about it all night, but that's going to be an important factor. Where do you want to set up that pass as Garcia gets loose coming out of turn 4?
This might be a good opportunity to set up that pass. Got a little bit of a run off turn 4, did Murray. Not going to attack him there into turn 1. Chooses to ride on the tire tracks. So back again towards the tail of the top 10. Now it's Hunter Carmichael. We're going to look on board with Timothy Harper. Finally got past him for 9th. Harper's car is very good here at the tail end of stage 1. He's got a ton of speed back up front. Murray decides to dive to the inside of Nico Garcia. This is for 2nd. Sean Rogers, best seat in the house. So this battle for him, another slide off turn 4. And again, that tells me especially those right side tires starting to go away on the Garcia machine. So he has another slide there off turn 4. Murray drives on by. He'll take 2nd away from Nico Garcia. And now Rogers and Holden can try to pounce. Kyle Holden, by the way, runs some of his best laps of the race, rather, on the past few. Last time by, on par almost with the leader, Alex Coffey. Fastest lap of the race so far, though, is still Garcia with a 29.511.
Yeah, we'll see if Sean Rogers can now take advantage of that, as Timothy Harper just found the wall there in turn 3 and 4. But really, it's going to come down to, where do these top 10 guys really negotiate, right? You're not going to really try to force the envelope here in stage 1. You might want to just settle in, take the points you can get. But if you're a guy like Kenny Reel, right, you want to get up there and get to the points. So you're going to start pushing here in the final laps of stage 1.
One guy who's been pushing towards the end of stage 1 is Kenny Reel, and he has arrived on the scene here in the battle for the final stage points, which begins up with Nigel Christensen. This has actually become about a 5-car battle for position. But Kenny Reel's arrived. Another car trying to get into it is Brandon Bowie. I don't think he'll have the time to get there. With 9 to go in stage 1, Reel is there. Now awaits either guys to make a mistake or just to let his tires do the work for him here late in the run. This car has been slowly getting faster and faster as this run has gone on. He's in the 11th position right now. The last time by, ran one of the fastest laps on the racetrack with a 30.62, faster than all of these cars in front of him in the battle for 7th.
You see him tap the wall there in turn 3 and kind of got that rubber band effect. Didn't lose a lot of time, but you can't do that all night long, right? If you're going to keep pounding down that wall, eventually that next-gen body is just going to take some wear.
I will say one thing I noticed is over the course of this week is that guys have nudged that outside wall in turns 3 and 4, not suffered a ton of consequence. Obviously, if you're going to hit it, either significantly or a number of times over a run, that will build. But 1 or 2 here or there, obviously a Darlington stripe, but does not seem to give too much consequence. Reel to the inside. This is for stage points and the 10th position. Kenny Reel to the inside of Hunter Carmichael. I don't think he could make it stick down there in turn 1. He could not. He'll file back in behind. But he is on the attack for at least 1 stage point with just 6.5 now to go in stage 1.
Yeah, this battle for 10th is really heating up here in the final stages of this stage. And we'll see if Kenny Reel can really set up this lane and see if he can set up that pass. Obviously, he's got a little bit more of a gap now back up to 10th, but he'll be able to run him back down and maybe look for another pass.
Tell you what, Brandon Bowie and Chris Cornett have worked their way to this battle as well in the 51 and the 83. A pair of cars that have worked up to Kenny Reel now in line. Bowie is on the charge in the 51. 2-time winner already here in 2026. Looking to make it 3 in Darlington. Got some work to do from 12th, but for now, and you see that Days of Thunder inspired paint job aboard that Premier Setups Toyota. Really, really sharp paint scheme tonight for Brandon Bowie as he is in 12th, and he's wheeling it up there in the 12th position, fittingly, as he tries to run down Kenny Reel and Hunter Carmichael for stage points. Bowie has come to life late in this stage as well. I think some of his best laps of the race late in the stage, as is Chris Cornett. I talked about Chris Cornett a number of times early in the season, as Timothy Harper took a look on Barry Sanders. Cornett has been so fast basically everywhere we've gone. Some bad luck last week in Las Vegas. A couple of other races, he's just gotten caught up in some things, but overall, a really nice start to the year for Cornett in the 83. He's got a ton of raw speed.
Yeah, and he's going to start to come alive. I've been fortunate enough to race with Chris Cornett a couple times here, and We ran a race last night in Martinsville, and he's going to be bad fast next week when we head to the Paperclip as well.
Had some smoke over off of turn number 2. I believe it might have been the Alan Dobbs machine that went for another spin in the 35 for Redline. He's actually about to go one lap down to the leaders. So 35, a bad start gone worse, unfortunately, for him here late in the going of stage 1. Alex Coffey has led wire to wire so far at Darlington. No surprise. Again, the defending winner to open the 2025 playoffs a year ago. En route to a dominant playoff run and a championship last year in Phoenix. Coffey going to do the same here tonight in Darlington, repeat his performance, go back to victory lane and open his campaign for 2026 as he will lap by 2 to go in stage 1. Although I will say Alex Murray is cutting into that gap. He won't have quite enough time to get there without a critical mistake. The 22 on the long run was so impressive last week in Las Vegas. It appears they've dialed that car in on the long run again tonight.
Yeah, Murray able to get by Garcia there for second place, so we'll see if he settles in here for a P2 finish in stage 1. And as Dobbs goes one lap down, he will now be the lucky dog candidate coming to the end of stage 1.
Well, other notable storylines here late in the stage play. Hochschild plus 16 up to 15th for him. Blaine Wilson was recovered all the way to 16th. While other cars involved in incidents have recovered nicely after some crashes early in the race, some early Darlington carnage. As Alex Coffey works the back straightaway, this is about what the doctor ordered for that Dig eSports Toyota Camry, the defending winner at Darlington. He led the last lap last September. He'll lead the first 45 in Darlington tonight. He'll come off turn 4, wire to wire. Alex Coffey captures the victory in stage 1. Murray, Garcia, Rogers, Holden your top 5. Rest of the stage points. Brandon Fetterplace, Tim Harper, Nigel Christensen, Barry Sanders, and Hunter Carmichael does hold off Kenny Reel for a stage point there at the end of stage 1.
Yeah, a solid first 45 laps there for stage 1. Obviously a couple cautions right off the bat, but the guys figured it out. That's what we needed there, some good racing, and they were able to get some passes done. But I think the biggest mover right now, the guy I'm watching, is Brandon Bowie. If he can get up into the top 5, he's definitely going to be a competitor here, as we've seen all season long.
Brandon Bowie, a 2-time winner already in the 2026 campaign, already up towards the top 10, looking to make it win number 3, the field to get captured by the iRacing.com pace car over in turns 1 and 2. Coffey and Murray for Dig eSports. Nico Garcia, so incredibly impressive in his first stage of action. And we'll look to continue that later on in the race. See Alan Dobbs, he'll get the virtue of the lucky dog here on this first stage caution of the night. He'll get back on the lead lap, be able to regroup, take a breath, reset mentally, which so many of these drivers will need after a bit of a chaotic one in stage 1. A number of cars earning their Darlington stripes early, others being involved in incidents. Bill gets ready to come down pit road. I have to imagine there won't be much strategizing yet, Zach. A lot of guys, I think, are begging for a new set of Goodyear Eagles.
I mean, it's definitely going to be 4 tires and fuel here for everyone. We'll see if anyone makes any adjustments to the short run, maybe the long run. But this is one of the money stops, I would say, right? You want to get yourself up in track position, maybe gain a couple spots, but you don't want to be a guy that slides their pit stop or pit stall, right? You don't want to lose any spots, right? Track position, very important here at Darlington.
Nobody so far is staying out on the racetrack. Everyone has opted to come to pit lane. A couple of cars are going to again get laps back. Alan Dobbs by virtue of the lucky dog. Cody Nagels will capture the wave around here under this caution for the end of stage 1 as the leaders reach their pit boxes down here at the end of this long and somewhat tricky pit lane to get in and out of. It'll be at least 2 for the leaders. I imagine we'll go with 4. Some damage, by the way, on Matt Cox's car, the 32. You noted that he did not get stage points. He's got some damage with the 32. A tough start to his night so far. Coffey, Murray, Rogers, the top 3 off pit road. Garcia drops to 4th. And some other positions change hands behind him. Well, that will conclude stage 1. The victory decides 275 at Darlington. We're going to step aside for just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You won't miss a moment of the action. Stay with us for stage 2 and the conclusion. Tonight's victory decides 275 from Darlington right after this. Back live from the Lady in Black Darlington Raceway for tonight's running the Moonshiners Racing League GMD Janitorial Cup Series Victory Designs 275 from Darlington. Dawson Wise, Zach Case with you on the call. Stage 1 is complete. We are ready to go racing for Stage 2. Wire to wire for Alex Coffey, the first 45. Back in the Van Lilly sticker restart zone for Stage 2. It is Coffey and Murray. The Alex and Alex show continue to run the field so far in Darlington. We'll see if they can continue that into Stage 2. Green flag back in the air. Coffey gets going. Murray again a little bit slow to the jump. That's going to allow Rogers underneath him for a second as the field fans out to turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Murray struggling here on the start so far, but Sean Rogers, the guy we talked about up and down so far this season, he's able to get into that P3 spot, so definitely a guy to watch the rest of the way here.
Brandon Bowie gained a couple spots on pit road and a couple of on the restart. He's up to 9th in the 51 as he tries to capture his 3rd win of 2026, become the winningest driver in the series. Battle out back of them, Kenny Reel gained a couple spots on pit road, lost them on the restart. Cornette to his inside for 12th. Is the first battle on the racetrack right now as everybody else singles out again. This is similar to what we saw in Stage 1. Not a ton of viable racing grooves at Darlington to want to work around this 1.3 mile speedway. Most of the top 10 to 12, now most of the top 15 have singled out all the way back, even about Chris Vincent in the 18th spot. Everyone, for the most part, is singled out. Cornette and Reel, that was close. Reel almost squeezed into the wall. A Darlington strike not earned by Cornette's own doing, but that time by some contact from the 99.
And those are going to be two drivers you're going to have to watch the rest of the time. And we talk about rhythm, right? Trying to stay out of the wall on turn 2 exit. A couple guys finding that wall there. But that's going to be something you have to make sure you maintain in the nutrition factor going into the rest of this race. Keep it out of the wall, right? Maintain your speed, maintain your rhythm. You don't want to have a guy get that line going behind you and really gap up with that draft coming out of the corners.
Double on board there for a pair of those drivers running back towards the top 15 area of this racetrack right now. Well, the drivers we talked about a lot so far in this one. Alex Coffey continues to lead. Alex Murray putting a little bit more pressure on him this time around, though, in the Shamrock Toyota up front. Sean Rogers was able to drive all the way up to the 3rd position on the restart. Now he is challenging these two teammates up here. And the new player in the top 6, Timothy Harper, gained a spot or 2 on pit road, had a really good restart, and all of a sudden the 4th place finisher from Las Vegas trying to replicate his efforts from last week in Sin City.
Yeah, the 23 car looks fast right now, and if he can maintain those tires for this run and keep maybe Garcia behind him and start to really close that gap up to P3, he'll be in a really good spot here as he works his way off of turn 4.
Top 6, make it top 9 under a blanket back to Brandon Bowie. There's the battle for 3rd as Harper, or rather 4th, as Harper's going to get attacked by Nico Garcia. Garcia jumps back in line. Harper maintains the spot for the time being. As the top 3 run basically nose to tail, again under a blanket towards the front of the field. Rogers putting a lot of pressure on Murray as Murray puts some pressure on his stablemate, Alex Coffey. You're going to hear me use that term a lot tonight. You'll hear me use teammate. You'll hear me use stablemates. A couple of these stables have more than one team, where their drivers are split up across an entire stable. Of course, Alex Murray, Alex Coffey, stablemates, not necessarily direct teammates tonight. Timothy Harper and Alex Murray are teammates. Also, of course, all under the Dig Esports banner. So when you hear me interchange using those words, that's what those mean. On board with Garcia as he continues trying to attack Harper, because now Garcia's got a challenge out the back door. That is from Brandon Fetterplace, another guy who has made a really good start to this season so far in 2026. Again, went to the round of 8 last year in the playoffs, made a really great playoff run, almost made the Final 4, and has had a really good start, picked up where he left off in 2026.
Yeah, I've really been impressed with Fetterplace driving so far this season, and really, it really comes down to how good are you at these tracks that we go to, right? A lot of different types of tracks. We were at COTA, we were at some super speedways already. We went to Las Vegas, right, with a 1.5 miles. Now we're at a different style 1.5 miles, a little under, obviously, at Darlington, and then next week we'll see if he can replicate this at a smaller track with that short track of Martinsville.
Saw Kyle Holden there with a big moment off of turn number 2 as he tried to get underneath Nigel Christensen. Christensen got the outside wall. Holden slid that car just a little bit, maybe trying to stay off of the yellow number 20. So a couple of cars involved, almost involved rather, in an incident there. They dropped to 9th and 10th. Bowie and Sanders drive by those two. Brandon Bowie plus 21 for the 51 up to 7th. Another onboard shot here from Sean Rogers. He is really putting pressure on Alex Murray's back bumper on lap 58. Again, the stage ends on lap 90, so already 32 to go in stage 2. These first two go by awfully quickly, but you want to prep yourself and be ready for stage 3, and these top 3 have done a good job of it so far. Rogers wants more, though. He's third and really looks to have a sporty number 44 entry tonight.
Yeah, it's just very interesting watching how Sean Rogers is driving. You see his whole body kind of twist to the left, put a little grin out in the corners. But the other thing I'm watching is his shifting, right? Into turn 1 and 2, he's staying in that 5th gear. He's going to shift up here on the front stretch. And he's going to stay in 5th all the way around until he gets to turn 3. And look at his hands here in turn 1 and 2. Really up on the wheel here, trying a different lane, trying to get a headlight out behind Murray, and coming off the corner, right back into the gas, trying to get that draft going into turn 3.
To stay in the draft, this Gen 7 car is very draft dependent. Even on a track like Darlington, you can grab some slipstream down the straightaway. Oftentimes will help you. Battle for 4th was ongoing. This has been one that Nico Garcia's tried to win a couple of times. Almost cost him right there, though, as it will actually cost him the 5th position. He'll drop in behind Brandon Fetterplace. He had a big moment there and got loose off of turn number 4. And don't look now. If he looks out his rearview mirror, that black and red number 51 for Arrow continues to get bigger in the rearview mirrors of the leaders. Brandon Bowie is worked into this battle for 5th and is running faster lap times right now than most of, if not all, of the leaders in front of him. Only a couple of cars in front of him right now are faster, Murray and Harper, but the caution flag is back out again. And we got a couple of cars sideways, Cornette and Kenny Reel in turn 4.
Talk about Chris Cornette having a good run, and this is the kind of stuff we talk about every once in a while. Has an incident there, Kenny Reel involved, as I'm sure we'll see on the replay what happened there at turn 4. But for the guys up front, this is a good pause here in stage 2, right? You're on lap 62, so now we got the top it off hot sauce company replay is entering turn 3. Kenny Reel gets a shove in the back there. He's going to drift up the track, and you see the contact there in the middle of turn 3 and 4. Just nowhere for Kenny Reel really to go, and he just gets driven through there the rest of the way and really finished off as we get that caution.
There's some tempers flaring potentially. We talked about those two earlier as racing each other awfully hard. May have traded some paint earlier in the race, so they definitely did. Not once, but twice there in turns 3 and 4, and it ends with Reel going for a spin off turn 4, and did not look like Chris Cornette applied much brake there in turn 4 when he had Kenny Reel pinned to the outside wall. So some potential frustration early in this race. So just past the lap 60 mark for Reel and Cornette with still 138 to go. That's going to be a storyline that we likely have to watch later in the race as well. I know you mentioned it earlier, Zach. Those two might be ones to watch. Well, they definitely are now after that interaction over in turn 3.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on those two. I think the biggest beneficial from this caution here is Brandon Bowie, though, right? Now you're going to get everyone bunched back up. He's obviously got a quick car. He's got plenty of time to work here in the rest of stage 2, but we're going to have to see if this 51 can maneuver, gain a couple more spots on a restart. He was able to get those spots earlier on in stage 2 when we just kicked it off after the end of stage 1. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the 51 here the rest of the way in stage 2. We'll see if he can crack the top 5.
Continue to pace on lap 63 here in stage 2, 28 to go in this second stage. Let's head to our driver profile this week, brought to you by Off Axis Paint. This week's driver in focus is William Owens, coming off a third-place finish in Las Vegas. The driver out of Huntsville, Alabama, 28 years of age. A rookie this year in the Moonshiners Racing League and its GMD Janitorial Cup Series. 10th in points in his rookie campaign. Shades of his favorite driver, Kyle Busch, from all the times that he would have great starts to the season. Owens channeling him as best he can. And a little fun facts there. A piano teacher and also 6'7". Good to note there, Zach, that these cars are virtual. I got to imagine to be a little bit tough to try to fit into one of these Gen 7 race cars. 6'7", a towering driver is William Owens.
Yeah, we're going to have to ask Owens if he ever played basketball when he was a little bit younger, but obviously William, a great guy overall, a pleasure to really interview, a pleasure to be around at the racetrack, always a guy that wants to give us some time and talk to during the race when we were pit reporters, so obviously a guy to keep an eye on, and a great start to his rookie campaign.
Driver for 0X Sim Racing will race start here from 11th. Our driver in focus tonight for the off-axis paint. Driver profile William Owens. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the evening as he continues what's been a really stellar start to his rookie campaign, trying to make the Impact Sim Designs chase. Alex Coffey and Alex Murray have led all of the first 65 laps of this race. They continue to pace the field. Coffey again switches his mind, or changes his mind on this restart, decides to go to the outside lane. He continues to bounce back and forth. He'll bring the field back into the Vanity Stickers restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Coffey off and running. Murray again having a little bit of a problem there on that restart, getting alongside Coffey. This is something, by the way, Coffey did a lot last year, was really good in the restart zone as the leader. Has done so again here up in turns 1 and 2 as he maintains the lead down the back straightaway.
Saw the 44, Sean Rogers, also struggle there off the start, and he's going to drop back to 5th and now keep his sights really set on that Garcia machine at the 8 car. And Garcia got a little loose, a little tire spin there in the restart zone too, but he was able to get away, get up to P4.
Continues to work up through the field, does Garcia. Garcia continues his stellar start to this one from Darlington as he continues to run just in front of Sean Rogers, who you mentioned had a couple of issues there getting the car going and back up to speed on that opening lap of the restart. Timothy Harper, big hit to the wall for him off turn 2. Those will build over the course of a 200 lapper from Darlington. Contact, better place, and Rogers just behind the Harper and Garcia machines. Those two came together in turn 3. That's the battle for 5th. As Fetterplace got to the inside of Rogers, Rogers did not want to budge from his line. He'll maintain the spot. Brandon Fetterplace will write that in the mental notebook.
Yeah, and guess who's watching that all in front of his windshield right now? That's the 51 of Brandon Bowie as he tries to take advantage. A little slip up there out of turn 2, loses a little bit of ground, but I'm sure turn 3 and 4 he'll regain that spot, or that time back, and really set his sight there on the 34 of Fetterplace.
A couple of drivers on the move just outside of the top 10, back past our camera frame. Nigel Christensen continues his run inside the top 15. Had that moment just a few moments ago with Kyle Holden as he goes back by Chris Vincent. Vincent is back inside the top 15. So is Alan Dobbs. We saw him taking the lucky dog a little while ago. He is up to 13th. Aaron Matthews up 18 spots from 30th to 12th. Blaine Wilson is as high as he has been in this early stage. He's back up to the 16th spot. They're on board with Dobbs as he chases Aaron Matthews. Dobbs' car is fast. He's had a couple of moments tonight where he's gotten involved in some incidents, but so far so good on the recovery train as Dobbs challenges Matthews. That's for 12th in turn 1.
That's really the benefit of stage racing, right? You get that caution stage 1, he gets back on the lead lap, able to get some tires, and now he's just setting his sights car by car, one by one, really trying to get back in front. 3 wide in the back of the pack there. Going on to the back stretch, a little farther on back, but in terms of Dobbs, really trying to keep his sights forward and not looking in that mirror as you see them continue onto the front stretch.
Yeah, that 3 wide was because Chris Vincent got the outside wall in a big way off turn 2 the last time around the racetrack, and a couple of guys go around him. A couple of guys actually behind him got the wall as well. Like Cornette was in the wall. Looked like Blaine Wilson may have gotten it. Hochschild may have gotten it as well. Paul Gallimore in the silver and gold, number 11. We haven't called his name a ton so far tonight as he runs just outside the top 20. He got the wall over there as well. We continue to watch this battle for the lead that's gone on up front. As Alex Murray, he's not yet gotten around or to the left side rather of Alex Coffey, but he is there and he is making his presence felt in this race for the lead. Matthews gets passed by Dobbs. Dobbs on the move. Christensen trying to join him. Matthews in the outside wall. And we'll allow Christensen alongside him, the PRVA Toyota Camry. As he works alongside, Blaine Wilson is in tow. We haven't called Blaine's name a ton tonight. I just talked about the recovery for him as he works inside of the top 15 for the first time since early in this race. As he now chases his teammate, Nigel Christensen. That would be for 14.
Yeah, Blaine Wilson doing a good job really rebounding like we've talked about. One of the bigger movers so far, and we talk about that rhythm. A lot of guys finding that outside wall coming out of turn 2, and that's something to watch. You can't beat that wall down every single lap. It's okay to get into it every once in a while, but you're going to get wheel damage if you hit it hard enough and in the right spot. So definitely something to keep watching. On board with Sean Rogers here. I don't understand how he does the green light. It works for him, but it would definitely not work for me. But a solid run right now in P5.
Yeah, again, that green light is very bright behind his setup. Obviously, something that he has gotten used to. We'll take another look on board with him right here. You see what we're talking about. We mentioned this again back at Daytona when we got to see an onboard look with Rogers. I'm not positive how he does that either. That would be distracting to me, but hey, it must work for him running P5 on the racetrack right now and chasing Nico Garcia for the 4th spot. So Rogers continues to work forward. Better Place in line behind him. Brandon Bowie, by the way, has stalled just a little bit in the 7th spot. He's not been able to capture another position. He chases Brandon Better Place. You're on board with him now in the 7th spot. The driver for Arrow, as he works on Better Place, that would be for 6th, as high as Bowie would have been tonight. He started back in 28th. Winner Coda in Phoenix looks to make it 3. But Darlington grabs the wall just a little bit. May have a look at Fetter Place, though, here off turn 4. Brandon Fetter Place gave him the outside lane. Not advisable for a driver like Brandon Bowie's had the start of the season that he's had so far.
It was definitely interesting to see Brandon Bowie go to that top side there in turn 3, and you saw him hit the wall, but it was that rubber band effect, able to get a little more speed coming out of the corner, and little check up there coming out of turn 2, but he's just going to ride behind Fetter Place. We'll see him go back to the top side here in turn 3 and 4, hopefully keep it off the wall, get that nice arc going, and he's going to be the outside almost there on Fetter Place.
Fetter Place able to really wrap the bottom there in turns 3 and 4. Impressive job to hold off Brandon Bowie, but Bowie continues to work that outside lane in turns 3 and 4. It's only a matter of time before that lane works. Back to the tail of the top 15. Nigel Christensen now in the back bumper of the 5 of Aaron Matthews as he tries to get by him for 14th. Bit of a log jam coming up behind the Matthews car, by the way. Christensen, Wilson in line. First time we've said Shane Davis's name tonight. He's up to 16th from the 29th place starting spot as he works on Wilson for the 15th spot, right behind this battle for 13th between Christensen and Matthews. Christensen finally going to get the better of him. Going to get a little bit of a friendly help here in the form of his teammate Blaine Wilson on the bottom. So send Christensen to 13th. Almost contact Wilson and Matthews in turns 1 and 2 as Davis tries to pick off Blaine Wilson on the outside of turns 1 and 2. He almost got one there as Cornette loose, trying not to spin. Makes the save. A big moment there for Cornette.
Yeah, it's Chris Cornette trying to battle back after that incident with Kenny Reel, and he's able to save it, right? Get back settled into your rhythm now, back at P21, but he's just going to have to slowly pick those drivers off and really just try to keep the car under him here coming out of turn 2.
12 and a half laps to go, make it 12 when Coffey wraps back around to the start-finish line in stage 2. That stage concludes at the end of lap 90. As Coffey continues to lead the way, Rogers now works on Garcia. This would be for 4th. Sean Rogers finding some speed on the bottom side of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. And something else interesting that I've noted this week, that bottom lane, you can almost wrap that first lane of the apron right below the dash line that usually signifies where the racing surface ends. I have seen a couple of cars this week be able to wrap around that bottom side of the racetrack under the dash seam and find a little bit of speed there. It's not a ton, but late in a tire run, it can be the difference between losing a spot, trying to run up in the middle of the racetrack, and holding onto the spot, being able to wrap that tighter bottom lane. It's a shorter way around this racetrack.
Yeah, we saw Nigel Christensen do it a couple laps ago down there in turn 3 and 4, and he was able to get some speed to get below his competitor there and get that run from Blaine Wilson in the friendly tap. Chris Cornette had a big moment off of turn 2 last lap around, so another driver that's really struggling here late in stage 2.
Tire fall off is seeing its first victims really of this race. The cautions that broke up stage 1, we really didn't get into a full tire run to see what would happen to these Goodyear Eagles, but now we are. It's really affecting the 8 of Nico Garcia. He falls off towards the end of stage 2 like he did in stage 1, and Sean Rogers pounces. Rogers to 4th ahead of Garcia. Fetter Place, Bowie have worked their way to this battle as well. Garcia trying to hold on for dear life to some stage points and a potential top 5 stage finish. But the cars behind him seem to have just a little bit more grip in those Goodyear Eagles. And he does on board that 8 machine. Fetter Place to the inside. He'll take a look. Bowie continues to run that customary outside that we've gotten used to. Boss man Barry Sanders just behind that battle. He's worked into this conversation. Hunter Carmichael is in that conversation, as well as Kyle Holden. So a number of Aero cars all running right around each other right here in this tail-end battle. In fact, they are lined up right now. Garcia, Fetter Place, Bowie, Sanders, Carmichael, Holden, those are all under the Aero stable. 6 of their 7 cars run right there from 5th back to the 10th spot with Kyle Holden.
I think the most interesting part here is watching turn 3 and 4 and the drivers taking the different lines, right? We saw Fetter Place go low there, try to wrap around that dotted white line. We see Brandon Bowie go back to the top where he's normally running, right? And he gets a nice run coming off the corner. So that's definitely something to keep watching here as the laps tick away.
Speaking of taking away, under 10 laps to go in RS Button Box's stage 2. I think RS Button Box is their sponsorship of the second stage of tonight's race. William Owens and Alan Dobbs, by the way, just behind Kyle Holden, who you're on board with right here, watching his teammates and stablemates in front of him. That's extremely ironic how 6 of those cars have ended up lined up. Dobbs and Owens, 11th and 12th, quietly back into the conversation here. Of course, we noted the struggles early for Alan Dobbs, but has certainly found a way to rebound from it in the 35. William Owens, who we talked about a moment ago, our driver in focus, as he continues to work his rebound train as well. Nigel Christensen behind them just had a moment in the 20. He has dropped into the clutches of his teammate Blaine Wilson and Shane Davis. For that 13th spot, Johnny Shade goes another lap down in the 45. You're on board with Davis as he chases Wilson and Christensen. The teammates 6 to go in stage 2, and this so far is the best battle on the racetrack, at least until Sean Rogers gets to Tim Harper. Rogers has come to life here at the tail end of this second stage.
Yeah, Rogers is really picking up. You know who else is picking up? It's the boss man in that 88. The battle for 7th is on. Brandon Bowie now looking a little lower of a line here in turn 3 and 4. But here's Barry Sanders, right up to his back bumper. He's about a car length behind you. A little slip up there coming out of turn 4, but he'll be able to reel him back in here in turn 1 and 2. So for the battle of 7th, keeping up those stage points, that's where it's going to look. And we see Timothy Harper, Sean Rogers battle, now back inside the top 10. Kyle Holden also trying to get some stage points in 10th.
Brendan Fetterplace to the inside of Nico Garcia. That would be for 5th. Fetterplace completes the pass and moved the 34 past his teammate into the 5th spot. Fetterplace has been really good in the late run as well. Battles on for 3rd. Rogers got the inside run on Harper there off turn 4. He'll challenge for it in turn 1. This is not advisable as you go too wide of the banking of turns 1 and 2. Not usually a situation that works. They find a way to make it work. Rogers on by. Sean Rogers for Beast Mode Performance has come to life as well. Again, we noted a moment ago, moment there for Garcia. He got the wall. He will get passed by Brandon Bowie up the banking of turns 3 and 4. Bowie to 6th. Sanders trying to hold on for dear life to the 8th spot as there's a couple technical issues there in front of Hunter Carmichael.
Garcia really struggling here late in stage 2. We talked about the tire wear. We talked about the fall off, right? He's maybe one of those drivers, really pushes hard earlier on, and now you're seeing the difference it makes here as a couple more experienced drivers try to work around him. Big moment there for Brandon Bowie coming out of turn 2. He hits the wall, but Garcia definitely struggling. He's going backwards here at the end of stage 2.
Barry Sanders has dropped behind all these cars. He was just 8th a moment ago, now 10th, trying to rally for some points at the end of this second stage. He does have a bit of breathing room back to what was a battle for 11th. Alan Dobbs actually got by William Owens, and he will take that spot, but plenty of buffer here for Sanders to just live out the rest of this second stage and maintain that position. It has once again been the Alex and Alex show at the front. Coffey and Murray have been about as dominant as ever in this second stage as Kyle Holden tries to make a pass. That would be for the 8th position on Hunter Carmichael. Holden coming to life a little bit at the end of this second stage. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as we reach 1 to go in stage 2. Another battle starting to shape up was Fetterplace on Timothy Harper, but he was not able to complete the pass. He'll have to ride in the 5th position, likely all the way to the end of this stage. It's been the Alex Coffey show tonight at Darlington. I can't say I'm too terribly surprised. The defending winner from last year comes back to Darlington, wins stage 1, leads all the laps in stages 1 and 2. Capture another stage victory. Alex Coffey wins RS Button Boxes Stage 2 over Alex Murray, Sean Rogers, Timothy Harper, and Brandon Fetterplace. The rest of the drivers receiving points there: Brandon Bowie, Kyle Holden, Nico Garcia, Hunter Carmichael, and Barry Sanders.
Solid job there for the top 10 as Dobbs rebounds for 11th, just outside the points there. Garcia able to hold on for some points there at the end of the stage. We'll see if he continues to fall off, but now the question is, going into stage 3, a little longer of a run, right? 110 laps here when we come back to green, so that's going to be something to watch here as we get into stage 3.
We will step aside once again. The conclusion of stage 2 of the Victory Designs 275. Stay with us. You won't miss a moment of the racing. We'll be right back for the conclusion from the Lady in Black. Alex Coffey wins stage 2. We'll see you after this. Back live from Darlington Raceway, stage 2 complete. And the leaders are on pit road now for one of the final stops of the evening. Of course, this third stage going to be 110 laps in length. The leaders are on pit road grabbing their service really quickly. We are going to talk to one of the drivers in the field in just a moment, but before we do, I did want to mention a couple of housekeeping notes. A couple of drivers have taken their cars behind the wall and into the garage area. Matt Cox will be credited with a 32nd place finish tonight. Matt Mettler will finish in 31st. Both of those drivers are many laps down, took their cars behind the wall by virtue of their incidents early in this race. So before we go back under the green flag, we want to talk really quickly with one of the drivers running inside the top 5. Timothy Harper comes on pit road fourth and off pit road third. And Tim, as you come off pit road, a bad Fast Dig eSports Camry for you tonight. What have you felt inside the race car so far in Darlington?
It's got a good setup in it, thanks to Murray. But I need to save a little bit better on the long run. The first run we had, I saved pretty good on the long run, but that run, I just got a little aggressive with it too early. But we just need to save the tires better here and try to go for a long run and hopefully get no yellows and maybe a green flag pit stop.
Well, 110 laps to go. You guys have not seen a run quite this long as drivers so far. So really quickly, before we let you get back to work, what's the game plan to avoid the attrition of Darlington here in this third stage?
Just keep it out of the wall. Try not to get too many more stripes. I've got a lot of them already, but and keep the rear tires from getting out from money off the corners, and so don't make any mistakes on pit road and just drive it like you should.
Well, Tim, thanks for the time. We'll let you get back to work. Good luck the rest of the way tonight from Darlington.
Thank you.
Timothy Harper is confident as ever, leaving stage 2 and onto stage 3. The setup is dialed in, and he is ready to make a run at the victory tonight from the Lady in Black. Alex Coffey and Alex Murray lead the field back in the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. The longest run of the night, just over 100 laps to go from Darlington. Green flag back in the air. Stage 3 is underway. Coffey, another great restart. That's going to bring Harper even with Murray for the second spot. Murray maintains into turn 1. Brandon Bowie, by the way, came off pit road 4th. And that is not a driver I'd want to see in my rearview mirror with 100 laps to go.
Yeah, Dawson, you're not wrong about that. And a great pit stop from that 51 camp. And now he's setting his sights here on Timothy Harper and trying to really crack this top 3 and see if he can make a run for this lead.
Yeah, trying to make a run on Harper for third. Almost a little bit of contact there between Bowie and Harper as he tries to get into the final podium spot, trying to run down the leaders. Again, trying to become the winningest driver in this series tonight. Would be 3 wins in 2026 so far for him in 6 races. A really impressive start the season so far for Bowie. Of course, won it back-to-back weeks at Coda and Phoenix a few weeks back from now. Bowie challenges for the 3rd spot. As behind them, look at Bowie trying to the inside, by the way, in the 51. Fetter place, best seat in the house for him in this battle as Bowie gets all the way alongside Harper. Can he clear up? Not quite. Harper maintains the right rear quarter panel. He'll try to battle back in turn 1, but that arrow entry of Brandon Bowie, he's dialed here in stage 3, and he captures the spot, the highest he's run tonight, up to 3rd.
Yeah, and you saw Timothy Harper get a little tight there on entry of turn 3 behind Murray. He had to check up, and that allowed Bowie to get to his inside. A really good run down the front stretch. Now he's setting his sights there on that 22 of Alex Murray.
Curious to see here, of course, Brandon Bowie. We know the raw speed underneath that race car. I thought in stage 2 that the tires went away a little bit for him at the end. We'll have to see if perhaps he's using a little bit more early in the run and how that affects him later on. Of course, you heard Timothy Harper mention the green flag pit stop. We do anticipate one stop in this stage at some point. Green flag pit stops at Darlington, about as tough as it gets. You don't want to make a mistake. It's a tricky track as it is to get around under green, but trying to get down to that pit lane, the entry line is way down there on the apron. It's very easy not only to miss pit road, but to be speeding when you get down there, to spin the car trying to get down to speed. So many mistakes that you can make. Also, by the way, not helped by the 107-degree track temperature. It's gone up just a tad over the course of the first 100 laps of this one.
Yeah, Dawson, and now this is where we start to talk about pit strategy, right? If I'm Alex Murray, I've been riding P2 all night. Do I short pit now, try to get the track position on Coffey, right? Force his hand almost in this stage 3? Or do I try to play the long run and and stay out a little longer and try to make up some spots that way. That's going to be the task that he has to really think about, talk about it over with his team, right? But Brandon Bowie on the other side in P3 right now, he's got to think about, how do I get around these two guys? Do I push now, take a shorter stint here and try to force it longer on the second half of the stage, or do I really just try to settle in and hold on to P3?
With the amount of tire wear we've seen tonight, I would argue most guys will try to cut this in half, perhaps try to even up the tire wear. You don't want to wear those tires too much on either of these stints in this third stage, again, unless you can really manage your equipment. Brandon Bowie does not look like he's doing a ton of managing right now in the third position as he continues to work the back bumper of the Shamrock Camry. Sean Rogers, a couple of early moments in this stage, and he is in the thick of it now outside the top 10. He's got to get moving if he wants a good finish tonight from Darlington. He ran as high as third and has fallen all the way to 13th and now tries to rebound. But up front, we've got the battle for second. Bowie is alongside Murray. Brandon Bowie, this will be as high as he has run, and he'll be one spot away from the lead and a potential third victory. Deep into turn one goes Brandon Bowie, rides up the racetrack a little bit. Murray gets the wall, Bowie gets into him, and Alex Murray plays some defense there in turns 1 and 2, but not without some paint trading.
Yeah, Bowie got a little loose there. You saw Murray, and Bowie gets tapped from behind from Fetter Place there in turn 3. He's going to have to ride the wall here as Harper comes up in front of him, and now Fetter Place trying to take advantage and get to P4 as he looks inside Bowie, but Bowie will fend him off and get the run.
Oh man, he got the wall in a big way right there over in turns 3 and 4 to Brandon Bowie. He got it a few times, bounced off the outside safer barrier. Fortunately for him, we'll see if that incurred any damage. No, nothing cosmetic that we can see, man. Timothy Harper now gets the wall right in front of Bowie. Bowie's going to dive to the inside, try to take advantage. This would be for third, trying to get back to where he was just running. Drives underneath Harper. This was a little bit contentious last time they came together. This time they're going to play a little bit nicer with each other off turn 4, as Bowie and Harper will run side by side down the front stretch and back to turn 1. So the battle for third continues. Meanwhile, Fetter Place, Garcia, Holden, Carmichael, and company continue to watch on from behind this, and again, the best seats in the house for this battle for third. Harper maintains it for now. Holden, by the way, up to 7th. Carmichael up to 8th. Alan Dobbs is up to 9th. And Shane Davis enters the top 10 for the first time tonight. A number of drivers finding a groove late in this race. The perfect time to start to come to life. Dobbs is actually on the move. He's trying to get, or rather, Davis gets around the outside of him. That's for 9th. Dobbs will drop the final spot in the top 10.
Yeah, really the second half of the top 5 right now. Some new contenders, some guys that were really saving their stuff, and now they're starting to come alive here in the later stages of this race. Big moment there in front of Dobbs. He's going to get a great run, and that was Carmichael that slipped up in turn 2. It's really tight there in turn 3 as those 3 cars battle for position. We'll see if Dobbs can get the run on the bottom. He will. We'll see if Carmichael can battle back, but side-by-side battling over the stripe.
A good battle back here for the 8th position. That's where Carmichael runs. That's the one that Dobbs wants. Carmichael again gets the wall not once but twice. Dobbs will have to settle in 9th. Shane Davis is 10th. He tries a crossover there off turn 2 on Dobbs. Interestingly enough, the Beast Mode Performance stable has not been quite as strong as they were here back in September. But Davis is starting to find some late race speed as he's up alongside Dobbs. That is going to be for the 9th spot. So Davis has some speed. Of course, we know what Sean Rogers has under his car. He runs right behind these two, by the way, as he's back up to the 11th spot. But other than that, the Beast Mode Performance camp has not been quite as strong, again, as they were back in September. They had really good cars here in the playoffs in 2025 and not been able to replicate that. But Sean Rogers trying to get back inside the top 10. He'll look at it here on Dobbs in turn 3. He's started to do that, what I was talking about earlier, wrap the apron with the left side tires.
Yeah, really low on entry there and able to slide up just a little bit, get up a groove, and then cut right back down in turn 4. We'll see how he enters here in turn 3. Low again, he's going to slide back up, and Dobbs able to get the run on the outside of him. He'll have to settle back into P11.
Patience is a virtue at Darlington Raceway. Sometimes it takes 10 or 15 laps to make a pass happen. With only 93 to go, obviously, I was going to start to lose that patient gene just a little bit later in this race. And up front, no better representation than the battle that continues for third. Timothy Harper has it. Brandon Bowie wants it. He wanted it before, but now he really does, because Brandon Fetterplace has driven into this battle. Nico Garcia has arrived on scene, and so too has Kyle Holden. A number of aero cars, again, all lined up. They continue to be 5 in line here from Bowie all the way back to Carmichael in 8th. Nigel Christensen, another slide. That's outside the top 10 off turn 2. You're on board with Holden. Better Place look to the inside of Bowie. Bowie looks to the inside of Harper. While Nico Garcia tries to hang on and wait for one of those guys in front of him to make a mistake. By the way, Rogers makes the pass. He's back up to 10.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see this battle right now for P3. You got so many cars there. If you're Brandon Bowie, you're trying to push right because you have Better Place right behind. Better Place has Garcia right behind them, and then Kyle Holden slowly reeling them in the more and more they battle there. To see a couple cars fan out there. Outside, that's Barry Sanders looking low on the Alan Dobbs machine. He will get a nice run there, but Dobbs able to hold the outside and continue going. A little in front of them, you have Davis battling with Rogers. As you go on board here with Brandon Featherplace into turn 1. A lot of footwork, a lot of steering, right? Gets back on the gas here. He's going to come off of it all the way out of the gas and then come right back into it coming out of turn 2.
Throttle management, a major part of racing here at the track. Too tough to tame, almost trouble. Chris Cornett starts to slide towards the inside. He's going to spin it. The 83 around on the apron. He gets it back going. We saw a moment for Shane Davis a moment ago as well. The 79 got the wall in a big way, and he almost slid and spun. But Cornett gets it back going. He is dropped all the way to 22nd as he spins, or goes for a half spin rather, off of turn 2. The Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. So we'll go back and take a quick look. He had started to run down cars like Vinson and Wilson and Christensen just inside the top 15. And as you'll see here, turn 2 takes no prisoners once again. And Chris Cornett, the latest victim in the 83, and does a really good job here to not come back up into the field, locks it down, gets back in the gas. It's a heck of a save, rather, for Chris Cornett.
And for Cornett, you know, we've talked about him all season long. He's had a lot of speed. He's had moments of glory and then also moments of stuff like that, right? Saving the car, losing a couple spots, and now he has to go back to battle. And one thing to bring up, Dawson, is with this longer stage 3, how does lap traffic start to play a factor? Especially when we get into this pit cycle coming up here in a couple laps, right? What's going to happen here when you get those lap cars that are going to get in front of these leaders and deeper into the field? They're starting to get spread out all over this racetrack.
Well, on a track as narrow as Darlington, obviously you have a preferred line or maybe 2 lines that you'd like to run. And when a lap car gets into your lane and is not willing to move out of the way, of course, you'll see some guys play a little bit nicer with the leaders. Johnny Shade, of course, with a teammate leading the race, will likely play a little bit nicer here with Alex Coffey as he works by him off turn 4. You see him leave the outside available for Coffey and then Murray to go on by. Harper running 3rd behind them as well. They'll be the next 2 to encounter the 45. You'll see other guys, though, that want to run their line, and oftentimes it conflicts with the leader's lane. And what that's going to do when lap traffic becomes a factor is it's going to bring Alex Murray into this race. Alex Coffey has been virtually untouchable so far tonight, but when he gets to lap traffic and has to alter his line, something he's not had to do tonight, it's going to present an opportunity for perhaps Murray, perhaps Harper, or even Bowie or Fetterplace or Garcia to get into this battle late, potentially steal one away from him here. The track too tough to tame.
See a big moment there with Nico Garcia's Fetterplace looked really low in turn 1, and we talk about those pit cycles too. That's going to be something that comes up here in about 30 laps, right around lap 150, maybe 155. That's going to be the pit window. Caution on the racetrack.
It's Blaine Wilson that's backwards against the inside wall in the back straightaway. As the big eSports Toyota tries to get back going, and that has drawn the caution flag with 85 to go. In Darlington, not a lot of visual damage aboard that 18. Regardless, it is enough to draw the ire of race control to bring out the yellow flag. He's back here battling with William Owens. Oh man, Chris Vinson almost got around, but 33 was able to make the save. Wilson and Owens were side by side in turns 1 and 2. They worked off the banking. I'd imagine it actually might be pretty similar to what we saw earlier off turn 2. Just some contact against the wall. Yep, Owens gets the wall. Wilson gets his left rear. It knocks him sideways and around, and that draws the caution just inside 90 laps to go.
Yeah, the problem with turn 2 is there's not a lot of real estate coming out of the corner, and obviously Owens coming up here. He's going to tap the wall. It's going to get the left rear there for Wilson. Wilson's going to tap that left rear right, and boom, you're spun around on the backstretch. So now this is where it's going to really change the strategy. Looks like all the leaders are coming in here, right? You have some sets on pit road. You're going to elect to take them, right? Johnny Shade's going to be able to get the wave around here, but everyone coming down pit road, it's going to be a busy one.
The tires not an issue like they were last week in Las Vegas, so 6 extra sets of tires aboard these race cars tonight, or in the pits rather. So, you know, the one you started with, 5 extra sets, 6 extra sets in the pits. You've only taken 2 at this point in the race, so plenty of Goodyear Eagles to go around for these leaders, and I have to imagine that everyone will choose to go with 4 tires. We're a little bit far outside the window where I would anticipate a 2-tire call. We'll see what these guys opt to do, but with 85 to go, I imagine still a little ways before guys would consider going 2 tires on this pit stop.
Yeah, 100% here as we're going to see the race off the pit road. It's going to be a little tight coming out, but it looks like Coffey's going to beat them out. Murray also there, right? Bowie looks like gets up to P3, so he beats Harper out of pit road. Actually, excuse me, Harper able to get back around Bowie there at the line. So looks like for that top 4, business as usual. And like you said, plenty of tire sets on pit road. Why not come down and take them, right? The whole field elects to do that. Now everyone's on that same strategy here.
Well, let's welcome you back into the Precision Entertainment broadcast booth. Again, Dawson Wise, Zach Case with you at Darlington. An entertaining first 2 stages, but now we reach the point at Darlington where carnage starts to take over. And over this last 80 laps, now everyone's on a fresh set of Goodyears. Zach, I have to imagine the fireworks are just getting started.
Oh, 100%. We saw that earlier in stage 1, right off the bat there with the green flag start. A lot of carnage to start there, but we talk about the patience gene. That's going to start to wear away for a lot of drivers, especially if you're running around the same guys all race. If a guy doesn't give you room earlier on, maybe lap 60, lap 70, fine, that is what it is. But when we get to lap 40, lap 50, or 150, right, that's when the patience gene is going to start to wear away. You're not going to give them that extra room and really let off the gas. So it's going to be pedal to the metal here coming to the restart.
Whole lot of take and not a lot of give here in the tail end of stage 3 from Darlington. It has been the Alex Coffey show so far, has gone wire to wire. In fact, not another driver has led this race at any point. It has been entirely Alex Coffey to this point as he tries to not only defend his win from last year at Darlington, but also really get his 2026 rolling. He's had a good start to the season, don't get me wrong. Looking to go back and get a dominant win and really put himself on pace to win back-to-back championships here in the Moonshiners Racing League. He'll lead the field off turn 4 and back into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Coffey, Murray, Harper, Bowie, and Garcia, your top 5. Just inside of 80 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. 1 car in the wall. Holden spun the tires. They're going to have to fan out around him as they work back towards turn 1.
Kyle Holden spun the tires there on the outside. That's going to allow a big pile up there. Looks like in turn 1 and 2 as the caution comes out, but car's not able to get around that Kyle Holden machine, and we talked about the carnage there. There it is.
Number of cars come to a stop on the apron. Paul Gallimore is involved in this in the 11 for Beast Mode Performance. A number of cars getting involved in that pileup that started when Kyle Holden spun his tires on the restart and bunched that entire field up in turns 1 and 2. And somebody got jackknife across the field. Top it off, Hot Sauce Company replay coming at you. You're going to see Holden spin the tires, and then we're going to focus behind him as 1 car got slid sideways in turns 1 and 2 and created a pretty sizable pileup, as Zach noted. So you'll see the 97. This is pretty identical to what happened earlier in the race. In fact, on the initial start, they go to get the gas pedal. When you get up through the gears, those rear tires spin. They don't grab the racetrack, and Holden gets the outside wall. And then up in the banking of turns 1 and 2, somebody ends up jackknife across the field. It's Chris Vinson, as Carmichael tried to come back up and rejoin the racing surface. He gets into Vinson. Gallimore goes for a slide. Cars pile in. Nick King appears to have a piece of this in the 12. A couple of other cars involved as well. You're going to watch Carmichael here. He's way down on the apron, has to work back up. Gets into the left rear of Vinson, gets into Gallimore. Cornette is in it. King is in it. And boy, I'll tell you what, the field lucky to avoid not having a bigger incident there in turn 1.
Yeah, for Carmichael, right off the start there, I thought he was going to dip low and let everyone by. It looked like maybe he got damage from the Holden machine. Now we're on board with Chris Cornette. He started back in P19. Not a good start for him. But then you're going to see everyone start to fan out, right? Going into turn 1, not in your usual lane. Here's Carmichael. He's going to slip up the track, get into Vincent. And there it is. The rest of the way is Cornette. Nowhere to go. He'll get some nose damage. He's lucky, though, not to get spun, right? But some minor damage there for the 83 machine.
Aaron Matthews getting into it as well in the 5. He spun to the apron trying to avoid the secondary. So a total of about 5 cars involved in that one to put us right back under the caution flag just inside of 80 laps to go. Notably on that restart, we noted the effect that Alex Coffey's had on the restarts tonight. He's been able to really get going well in that restart zone as the control car. That time, it's actually going to shuffle up the top 3 just a little, as Timothy Harper was able to get past Alex Murray while the time the caution flag came out and cycled forward to the 2nd spot. So Harper now will get a crack at Alex Coffey here on this restart. The stablemates for Dig eSports. Dig eSports running 1, 2, and a 3 right now. But the car you got to put eyes on, I think, is Brandon Bowie. Knowing how aggressive he's been in this race from the 4th position right here, I have to imagine he's going to hit that aggression button once again.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do here, starting P4 on the outside. One thing to note with Coffey, though, electing to go back to the bottom here. He's been switching it up. He's been able to test that all night. Looks like he wants the bottom more than the top, so we'll see what that 54 machine can do. But with that 51, right, Brandon Bowie doing a great job, able to drive up through the field through stage 1, stage 2. Now he's inside the top 5. We'll see if he has anything for these Dig machines.
So interesting that Alex Coffey has continued to switch the lane for the restart every single time. Usually drivers have either a preferred lane that they want to start in or a lane that is just better on the restarts for where you want to set up turn 1, where you want to be on the exit of turn 2. You typically have one lane that you want to pick all race, and Alex Coffey has just gone back and forth and continues to make both lanes work equally well on these restarts. So transition back to the bottom. He'll bring the field back to the Van Leather Stickers restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Let's try this again. Now just inside of 80 laps to go. Coffey gets going. Notably, Harper goes a little bit better. Kenny Reels around in the back. Kenny Reels just nosed into the outside wall. We'll keep it green and keep it up front, but the red line entry of Reel is in the fence. Harper got going better than Coffey right there, or better than Murray did rather on the last restart, and he may try to get alongside his stablemate here in turn 3. Is this the first battle for the lead? It is. Harper to the outside for the race lead in 3.
Look at that Brandon Bowie machine too, able to get up to P3 around Alex Murray, but the battle is on for the race lead as Harper got a really good run. He'll lead that lap as now the battle continues as Coffey dips low. He's able to get around him. Here's Brandon Bowie though up to P2. He's gonna get alongside Coffey off of turn 2 and spins him.
But he turns him. Alex Coffey, the dominant car of the day, is around and in the wall. Comes back across the track, trying to miss the field. Coffey comes to a stop. The race is going to stay green as contact from Bowie. Now Christensen goes around off the bumper of Cornette. Matthews piles in and the caution's back out again.
Your Coffey here, that is just, you did not want to see that. A dominating performance. We're going to go to the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay here, and we're going to start on the front stretch. Coffey able to get around Harper. Harper slow in turn 1. That allows Bowie to get to the bottom. He's going to get underneath Coffey there. We talked about the lack of real estate coming off of turn 2. You see it right there as he gets his right rear right into the wall. As many cars pile in from behind, and there's just so much commotion on the backstretch.
Alex Coffey had led over 120 laps tonight at Darlington. He had led every lap so far at the Darlington Raceway. But now, as he came out turn 2, Brandon Bowie bit off more than he could chew, tried to back out. You notice that he did try to back off the throttle there and stay off Alex Coffey, but that car washed up the racetrack and got into the left rear of Coffey after Coffey drove it in deep to turn 1. Bowie got a nice drive through the center and got in the left rear of Coffey, and it was on from there. Now Coffey, I have no idea how he does not get it coming back down across the track, across the entire field, but a couple of cars pile in further back in this. Christensen is going to come into it. You see that contact there, actually some big contact with him and Cornette. Darren Mills, Shane Davis is in it as well. So it actually turns into about a 6-car pileup. Sparked up with the Alex Coffey incident. Man, there's some big contact out back of them with Christensen, Matthews, Cornette, and others.
And the funniest part here is Christensen was all the way back in 28th when he got involved in that one. So that really took a huge chunk of the field as everyone slowed down, right? Matthews locked it up, got into the 20, spun him around. Then Matthews got some more contact there. Now riding along with Chris Cornette, coming off of turn 2, and you just see everyone fanning out here. He's able to back it down pretty well. And boom, right into Christensen. Just comes up the racetrack. Heavy nose damage for that 83 machine.
Just not much that Christensen, Cornette, or Matthews could do there as, you know, Coffey's coming down, spinning across the racetrack. You're trying to jump on the brakes. Matthews' car jumps out from underneath him, and you're helpless if you're Matthews, and for Christensen and Cornette and company that got into the secondary. there's just not much you can do there. You commit to a lane to get through an incident, you try to jump on the brakes, but these race cars can only stop so fast. Well, that incident has completely changed the complexion of this race. Up until this point, of course, Alex Coffey won the Victory Designs Pole Award earlier, had led every lap so far in this race, and now Coffey, after getting turned by Brandon Bowie in turn 2, runs all the way back in the 18th position. Will have to fight back through the field. Now, knowing Coffey, he faced some adversity last year here at Darlington in September. He did so then, was able to go back to victory lane in that race. We'll see if he can do so again tonight. But now, Harper and Bowie are on the front row. Nico Garcia and Brandon Fetterplace on row 2 with Rogers and Murray back on row 3. Alex Murray relegated to 6th. The dominant 2 cars of the race, 6th and 18th, with just inside of 75 laps to go. We know how fast that Harper and Bowie have been. We'll see if they can try to drive away. The track temp, by the way, coming down just a little bit. 106 to start this race, got as high as 107, and it's now dropped to 101 on the banks of Darlington Raceway. So maybe a tiny marginal improvement in handling under these race cars. I can't imagine it's going to be that much different under these Gen 7 race cars. Green flag going to go back in the air, back in the Vanley Stickers restart zone. Harper off and running. Great start for the 23. He'll bring Nico Garcia with him. Rogers to the inside of Bowie for 3rd. And now all eyes on the Brandon Bowie machine for aero trouble. Harper gets sideways off Nico Garcia in turn 1. He almost goes around. Rogers gets halfway around. Harper's going backwards. Rogers is going backwards. And Nico Garcia drives away with the lead.
I don't know how the whole field did not get collected in that one. Everyone able to get around the Rogers machine, get around the Harper machine. They're 3 wide now, mid-pack, coming off of turn 4 as Harper continues to kind of reel his car back in. But guess who's back in the conversation in that pack? It's Coffey up to P11 as he goes around the outside of Harper.
Well, he just kept his foot in it and got all the way from 18th to 9th on the opening lap of that restart. That's the best thing that could have happened for the Alex Coffey machine as his rebound continues. Murray to the inside of Sanders. That's for 6th. He'll get that spot easily, or rather 5th. He'll get that spot pretty easily in the 22. Here on board, though, the man of the hour. He is all the way to up to the 9th position on the racetrack. Alex Coffey challenges Blaine Wilson for 8th as they work back to turn 1. I gotta tell you, Zach, when he gets back to the 51 of Bowie, I have to imagine if an opportunity arises, he may display some frustration.
And that frustration is probably going to lead to some fireworks there at the front of the pack as you see Coffey dip low on the 18 of Wilson. Gets around trying to wrap that bottom and now set his sights up on Carmichael. And he's able to get around that 18 machine. So we'll see what Coffey can do. He's got plenty of time to do it. Right, looking at the tracker right now, lap 132 out of 200, so plenty of time for that 54 machine to slowly start picking guys off in this field.
He's up to 8th around Blaine Wilson. He's still got some work to do with 69 laps to go. It'll be 68 at the line. Alan Dobbs, by the way, got all the way to 4th in that entire exchange, so the highest he has run so far in tonight's race. He started 6th and had never been back to that spot in this race. He's up to 4th right now, just in front of Alex Murray. So we'll keep our eyes on Alex Coffey as he works back through the field. By the way, Nico Garcia all of a sudden is 68 laps away from his first career win in his first career start tonight in Darlington. That would be a heck of a story. You're on board with Coffey. He's trying to drive the wheels off of it. It's not working for him right now back in the 8th spot. But for Garcia, what a story this would be. First race of the year, first start at Darlington of all places to go out and capture a victory. What a moment that would be if he's able to hold on for 67 more laps.
Yeah, that 8 machine is just cooking right now. Clean air, plenty of clean track in front of him, and a big gap back to 2nd place. So for Fetterplace, he's going to have to start reeling them in here. Bowie's behind him, and then you have Alan Dobbs. Murray starting to trying to get on the board of him, right, for that P5 spot, or for P4, excuse me. So we'll see if Murray can get around that 35. A big moment for Dobbs earlier, 2 laps ago, but right now, if you're Garcia, you're just trying to drive away with this thing.
66 to go for Garcia. Of course, we do still anticipate a potential for a pit stop. It'll be awfully close now with only 65 laps to go. We do still anticipate one. Garcia continues to lead by 0.8 of a second over Brandon Fetterplace. Brandon Bowie has been relegated to 3rd with Dobbs 4th and Murray 5th. You heard Zach talking about them a second ago. Bossman Barry Sanders benefited well out of that opening lap chaos. He's up to 6th. Carter Carmichael is 7th. Alex Coffey, of course, rides in the 8th spot right now. Lane Wilson 9th and Kyle Holden 10th. You're on board with the boss man. Battle in front of him, though. Murray to the inside of Dobbs. This is for 4th. Dobbs rides off the wall just a little bit. Murray makes a little bit of contact with him, trying to make the pass. Unsuccessful off 2. Almost more contact now. Murray completes the pass, and Sanders will follow him through to 5th.
Unfortunately, we talk about it, turn 2, that exit, not a lot of real estate, and when you're side by side there, unfortunately, if you're the guy on the outside, you're just going to have to bank it off that wall and pray that you don't lose that much momentum. Unfortunately for Dobbs, he's going to lose 2 spots on that interaction there. He's going to drop all the way back to 6th, but one guy to talk about here is Harper, right? Harper dropping back to 11th after that first lap off the restart. Rogers behind him, but if you're Alan Dobbs there, you just got to settle in. Right on board with him right now. He looks dialed in into that cockpit there of his sim rig. So we'll see if that 35 can get things going and go back and battle that 88.
Top 7, top 9 back to Wilson and Holden. Top 10 have singled out. Really no battles around the top 15, really, but the caution flag is all of a sudden back out on the racetrack once again as off turn 4, it's Ryan Catalano that's gone for a spin. Top it off Hot Sauce Toyota Camry. He's going to spin back up the racetrack. Almost collects Nigel Christensen and Nick King. Catalano will get it back going again, and that is going to put us under the 9th caution of the night. 92 around this time. He's got right front damage on board his Toyota, so we'll go back and take a look. He's actually got right side damage on the rear end as well. Top it off Hot Sauce Company replay. You're looking for the Top it off Hot Sauce Company Toyota. He gets the wall off turn 4, perhaps running by himself. No, does not get the wall. Gets a little bit loose. Noses into the wall. Sanchez and Cornette collected in that one as well. It's the first really moment of being loose off turn 4, at least on that end, to that degree that we have seen a driver tonight. Catalano, unfortunately, gets the brunt of that one.
Just unfortunately, car steps out from underneath him, and 2 guys involved there with Sanchez and Cornette. Nowhere to go as that car gets nosed into the outside wall. And for Chris Cornette, just another incident you're involved in. Not really your fault, just running around trying to run your lane, run your laps, and unfortunately he's a part of this one. Now the real question is, coming to pit road here, what do the drivers do? Is everyone going to come in and take their tires? We talked about how many sets they have on pit road. It looks like the whole lead pack's going to come in, so another busy pit road here under caution as Garcia is going to lead them down.
An interesting decision here to come down and potentially grab another set of tires. Of course, we'll wait and see if anybody does opt to go with either 2 or none. One car has opted to skip pit road this time. Jose Medina is going to be the only car to stay on the racetrack and inherit the race lead, at least for a moment. Capture the bonus point. We'll see if he pits before the green flag comes back out or tries his hand on some older Goodyear Eagles. A lot of cars going up on the jack means they're going to take another set here. So interesting decision for guys to take some tires there on this 9th caution of the race. Some going with 2, perhaps. Some going with 4. Garcia going to get bypassed on pit road. Blake Hochschild, how about that for another debuting driver, the 38 off pit road first.
Yeah, it looks like Hochschild taking 2 tires, maybe trying to play a little bit off strategy and get his name in the conversation. We haven't talked about a lot about him so far, making his debut tonight here this season, but we'll see what that 38 machine can do. And obviously, a couple different strategies near out at the front now, as you see Hochschild taking 2 tires. We talked about him. Medina still on his old set, so he's going to be the race leader. He elects to stay out, so it looks like he will be the control car coming to the green as we prepare to get ready to go.
Now let's get a really quick moment to talk with a man now running second, thrust into a position where he could have a say in the end of this race. It's Blake Hochschild, debuting tonight at Darlington and now running second with just 65 laps to go. Blake, what went into the call on pit road to put you up front here with 65 laps remaining?
We just decided to go ahead and risk it here and take no tires. Hopefully maybe a couple cautions are going to happen for us, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just kind of saving that set for the end there. We can have an extra one.
Well, real quick, we'll let you get back to work in just a moment. But what's the game plan here to try to capture your first win in your first start? You've gotten to race around these guys for a minute now. What's the strategy?
Well, I mean, not to take anything away from anybody. I mean, these guys are quite crazy. I'm nervous, I'd say, myself up here. So hopefully we can just keep it together into one, get the track position here, and who knows? We'll see if we can make it to the end.
Well, Blake, good luck the rest of the way. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see if we were talking to you at the end.
No worries. Thank you.
Blake Hochschild kind of get close there to the green flag. We'll let him get back to work as Jose Medina stays out. Blake Hochschild goes with no tires. Let's get crazy at Darlington with 60 to go. Green flag back in the air. Medina off and running. Garcia immediately to the inside. Changed lanes right at the start-finish line. Goes right back to the lead into turn 1. Garcia gets by Medina. Hochschild losing spots as well. Better place by Medina as he is going backwards in a hurry here off turn 2. This is going to get a little bit hairy. But big trouble as Alex Coffey gets turned. He hammers the inside wall. The dominant car of the day now destroyed at the end of the back straightaway. Alex Coffey sideways and major damage to his Dig eSports Toyota.
Yeah, he was stuck behind that Medina car coming off of turn 2, and he just got tapped in the left rear. We're going to go to the top it off. Hot Sauce Company replay here, and right off the restart, you see a lot of cars jacked up behind that Hochschild car going into turn 1. Coffey electing to go to the outside around Sanders, trying to get a nice little run, and you're going to see a couple cars come into frame here. There's that Medina car that we talked about, and he just gets turned right there by the 3 and hard into the inside wall. And it's safe to say his day is probably done here at Darlington.
No fast repair in the pits. That would be correct for Alex Coffey as he has taken that 54 entry immediately to the pit lane. In the service of his pit crew, likely the engine has expired. He got stuck behind the Medina car, tried to make a lane. Carmichael got into him, and you see the damage on board that entry. You're going to get an onboard look from him here. And what a helpless feeling if you're Alex Coffey to lead that many laps, to try to get back on the rebound train, and have it all come to an end in a matter of seconds. He gets caught behind Medina. All of a sudden, he's facing the inside wall. Man, that is a monster hit to the inside wall for Coffey. See, he's actually going to get it again. What a tough way to end a dominant day at Darlington. Looked like he was headed for the victory. Unfortunately for him now, he'll put it behind the wall.
And we talked about how crazy that restart was going to be with the different strategies on that front row, and it looks like Jose Medina electing to stay out here. He's running in 7th. I think pit road was already open, and that has passed. And also Hochschild also running up in P4, so he elects to stay out. 57 laps to go here in Darlington, and now the question is, who's going to win the race, right? Alex Coffey out of the race. Murray's a little farther back. I don't even see him inside the top 10 right now, so a couple guys that we haven't really talked about so far, besides maybe Brandon Bowie, who finds himself in the top 3, that's a guy that we're going to want to talk to.
Speaking of Brandon Bowie, let's get a quick word with him before we go back green. He stands by with my partner, Zach Case.
Brandon Bowie, how you doing here tonight? Obviously doing a great job, like we talked about, running P3. You battled all night, coming up into the top 10, now into the top 5. How's the car feeling?
Car's feeling okay. I don't really know if I have really a lot of speed on the mid to long run. I have short run speed, but that's pretty much it. So I don't know. Right now, I'm just trying to finish the race, and then I need to go back and see what happened between me and I believe the 54. Not really sure what happened there, or if I came up or he pinched. I don't know. So I need to go back and look at that. I'm trying not to stress about that, but that's kind of annoying. I keep getting into it with guys. So other than that, I'm gonna try to put my head down, try to focus, and see if we can go for the win.
Yeah, quickly, what's the strategy here off the restart?
Well, since we got quite a bit of few laps left, I know we can make it, but to try to preserve the tires and try to see if I can pick my teammates off.
Well, thank you, Brandon, for your time. We'll let you get dialed in here for the restart.
Right, thanks.
Brandon Bowie is ready to get going. You heard him mention short run speed. The way this race has panned out in stage 3, it might come in handy for sure in the last 55 laps of this one. Garcia continues to lead. Fetter place alongside him. Arrow teammates on the front row. Green flag back in the air. 55 to go from the lady in black as we're off and running towards turn number 1. Garcia got a good start. He'll jump out to an early lead. Bowie's going to jump right to second around Fetter place. And it's Bowie that will fall in behind them. Actually, Bowie rather gets in front of Fetter place as they work off turn number 2. Dobbs files into 4th. How about Alan Dobbs on the recovery train for him? A couple of spins tonight as a couple of cars look 3 wide towards the middle of the pack. That was back around the Cody Nagels car, I think, that 3 wide happened. You see Nagels gets the brunt of that as he goes backwards. 3 wide from about 12th on back for a moment there. Off turn 4 as guys try to scramble for position.
Yeah, we We talked about Alan Dobbs recovering like you just spoke about, Dawson, and he's doing a solid job now running inside that top 10 and even in that top 5. Touches the wall there coming out of turn 2, but really just trying to find your rhythm here. A lot of restarts. You're not really into that long run that we talked about maybe happening here in stage 3, so you got to find that rhythm again, really dial your car back in.
Yeah, rhythm's not been something that a lot of guys have had here in stage 3. Just haven't had a lot of opportunities to have any rhythm here in this third and final stage. But for the guys that have short run speed, that's what they want to see more of. Obviously, they want to see more of these short little jaunts here towards the end of stage 3. One car on the wall, that was Holden near on board, looking backwards from Timothy Harper. And one car spinning on the back straightaway that gets sideways down towards the inside wall. A couple of others trying to scramble away from that one. It's Nick King and the Warrior Racing Ford Mustang that got sideways. It did not draw the caution, but he is around towards the tail end of the field. We stay green. And up front, it's continuing to be all Aero at the front of the field right now. Garcia, Hui, Fetter Place, 1, 2, 3, all 3 teammates for Aero here tonight in this one from Darlington. Dobbs has driven away a little bit from Hochschild for the 4th spot. Blaine Wilson's up to 6th. On a couple of drivers there. We talked about Hochschild in his first start. We talked about Dobbs' recovery, but Blaine Wilson has had a struggle tonight as well in the 18. He runs up inside the 6th position as you're on board now with Sean Rogers as he tries to continue to recover. He ran as high as 3rd in stage 2, and it dropped back as low as 15th. He's back up to 9th, but has some considerable traffic in front of him.
The car in front of him is that 23 machine of Harper, another guy that got caught up there halfway through or midway through stage 3. Now he's trying to battle back inside the top 10 there as he sets his sight on that 88 machine. Another driver we haven't talked about in a little bit, that's Alex Murray running P12 now in that 22 machine. He's trying to get back inside that top 10, and obviously the Dig machine's doing a great job earlier on in stage 1 and 2. Now they find themselves struggling here and trying to gain some ground on those Aero machines that lead the way.
Not a lot of laps left to get back into the fight for Rogers, Harper, and Murray, but they continue to try to work their way forward to at least salvage as good a finish as possible. 49 laps to go at the line. Nico Garcia continues to lead, looking for a monumental win for him in his first start tonight at the Lady in Black. What a win it would be. He's led since the Alex Coffey incident just a little while ago, and he has maintained that grip on the lead since that point. By the way, the field's starting to spread out behind the leaders. Not as much of a blanket feeling for these top 6 or 7 cars on the racetrack as we had a moment ago. By the way, Barry Sanders just lost a couple of spots. He drops to 10th. Murray is all the way up to 9th, so the 22's not out of it yet. So this is that battle just inside of the top 10. You see Murray get the better of a couple of the cars running back there. Holden and Vincent battle for a spot just outside the top 10. The 11th, Vincent goes on by. Holden will file in line. Paul Gallimore is on the move. We haven't talked about Paul Gallimore a lot tonight. He's not had the start to his 2026 that he wanted. Big moment there for Sanders. Gallimore actually is going to pick up another one here and move to the 13th spot. We haven't talked a ton about Gallimore tonight. His 2026 is off to a rough start. He's been collected in a lot of things that are not his doing. Tonight, he has slowly chipped away and may just salvage a top 10 out of this one, which he desperately needs.
Yeah, well, the good thing for Paul Gallimore is there's plenty of time left in this season to really gather it up, right? Put a solid finish here together at Darlington with under 50 laps to go, and then set your sight on Martinville, right? But I think the biggest thing you have to watch for that 11 car is to make sure that you continue to work. The 38 machine, though, of Hochschild starting to struggle. We talked about him electing not to take tires on that lap pit stop, and now he's starting to slowly fall back as Sean Rogers works on him into turn 1.
Timothy Harper just got by him. That was for 6th. Rogers, this will be for 7th, and then Murray will try to go by him here in turn 3. That would be for 8th. So a trio of cars there trying to get around the Hochschild machine. You see Murray's going to have the outside lane in turns 3 and 4. So for Alex Murray, all is not lost yet. He is by far not out of this thing, especially with the chaos that we've seen as this race has continued forward. Back up front, Nico Garcia looking in the rearview mirror, starting to see that black and red 51 get a little bit bigger. His teammate Brandon Bowie is slowly but surely running him down. A pair of cars, by the way, that have struggled with long run speed. I would say advantage Fetter Place in 3rd, but Bowie is certainly starting to put the pressure on.
I think one other car you really can't really take away from this run right now is that fourth place car of Alan Dobbs in that 35, a guy that we talked about coming up the chain, up the ladder, and he's really in this seat watching those threes. We have a caution on the racetrack.
This one's for Chris Cornett off turn 4 as the 83 has gone for another slide over here on the front straightaway. So that will draw an interesting timed caution, knowing that tires are starting to run thin on the pit lane. We'll go to the Top It Up Hot Sauce Company replay before that, though. Cornett was running back in the mid-20s, and when he came off of turn 4, he's at least going to go for a slide. We'll see if he collects any other cars in this one or if it is just him. My timing says it was just the 83. Has a problem over here off of turn number 4, and see right there, a little bit loose, tries to gather it, overcorrects, snaps left on him, spins. William Owens, good job to avoid, and Cornett lucky, everyone else able to avoid him. A single car accident in turn 4.
Is riding along with William Owens, our driver profile tonight. As you see, Cornett's going to get a little bit loose in the middle of turn 4 there. He's going to gather it up, get loose once again, lock it down, as Owens able to slow up there, get around him on the outside. As Cornett involved once again, this time just himself. But one thing to note here, coming to the pit lane as we gather cars up behind the pace car, is that 38 of Haas Shield. Now it's going to probably come down, take his 4 tires. He has an extra set compared to the rest of these cars, so we'll see what the leaders elect to do. A lot of cars staying out. You see the first car coming in is Harper. He elects to come out once again. So Haas Shield, the first one to come down pit road from P9.
I think Blake Hochschild was due to come down pit road, take a set of tires right there. He'll have some takers from behind him, but a number of cars have chosen to stay out. It looks like at least 12 cars, 13, make it 14 cars stay out on the racetrack back to Cody Nagels. The red line entry will move up to 14th. 14 cars now have stayed out on this set of tires. Everyone else is coming down to take a set. One of the cars that stayed out, though, is the guy we're going to talk to now, our driver profile, our driver in focus tonight from Darlington Raceway. That is the 30 of William Owens. And William, another good run for you tonight. Obviously, you've been on the comeback trail for a while. 50 laps to go. The chaos has kind of started. How do you manage this end portion of the race as things get a little crazy?
The chaos has kind of started, he says. It's been chaos all night up here. I try to survive like I have been. A lot of the action tonight, wreck-wise, has been pretty much from where I'm at forward. So I got to keep my eyes forward and be ready to dodge any wrecks that might happen in front of me. That's what I have to do.
Well, look, 10th in points to start your rookie campaign here on Wednesday nights. A great start to the season that has really so far been capped off with a third-place finish last week in Las Vegas. That race had a ton of chaos at the tail end of it. This one, like you said, has been pretty chaotic all night. Stage 3 has seen the considerable amount of the chaos so far in this one. So 50 laps to go. You know, obviously we know that things are going to happen at the front with the guys running towards the front of the field. We've already seen it. You know, how do you negotiate that and make it into a potential top 5 or top 3 finish? How do you continue the momentum you started building last week in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, definitely got to keep my eyes forward, like I said a second ago. And I kind of have to hope for chaos tonight. My car is good, but it feels like it starts to stall out after a few laps, and then it becomes defense. So if I can maybe get one more caution here, make one more adjustment, I think I know what I need to do to the car to make it last a bit longer on pace and try to get some more track position that way as well. And pit strategy might be something I can throw if we get a late race caution. I've got a couple of ideas, but it'll take either strategy, it'll be a mix of strategy and survival probably to try and get another top 5 tonight.
Trying to replicate your favorite driver, Kyle Busch, tonight at Darlington, a guy who won here several times in his career. William, good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see if we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
William Owens in the 30, our driver in focus tonight from Darlington Raceway. He'll roll off from just outside the top 10 right here, trying to get another good finish in his great start to 2026. Green flag back in the air, 40 laps to go. Garcia off in running trouble. Carmichael's around right in the middle of the field, right in front of several cars. It's a multi-car pileup on the front stretch on the restart. It will draw the 12th caution of the night. It's starting with some tire spin as Hunter Carmichael is backwards against the inside wall.
We talked about the restart zone all night. We talked about the tire spins, right? The Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay we're going to watch coming off of turn 4. That 3 machine of Carmichael on that inside lane right in front of Owens that we just got the pleasure of speaking to, and there is the wiggle. Owens gets a little tap there, spins him around right up into the outside lane. As you see the 3 just back it into the inside wall there on the pit road wall. So another angle coming off of turn 4. We talk about it all the time. Barry Sanders now with an onboard. We'll see what he had to view from that wreck. Able to slow it down a little bit. Is right in front of him, able to scave through that one. A good avoidance there from that 88 machine from the boss man, but a scary sight to see there on the restart with all these cars bunched up.
Well, the stablemates for Sanders at Arrow goes around right there in Carmichael. You're on board now with Nigel Christensen. He was back around the Barry Sanders car on this restart. Again, it's something we've seen a couple of times tonight. Guys spin the tires, and when the rear tires don't grab the racetrack, the back end wants to come around. For Carmichael right there, not much he can do except go for a spin and end up in the inside wall. So a tough break for him. You're on board with Corey Moore, who continues to chip away at this race as well. By the way, got back on the lead lap a couple of cautions ago and gets woed down enough here. Has to move out of the way of his teammate Nigel Christensen, but Corey Moore gets through it as well. So his comeback continues really all in all. A 2-car incident, Carmichael and Owens, the 12th caution of the night inside of 40 laps to go. A few cars on pit road, mostly damage repairs at this point in the night. Of course, Owens and Carmichael are on pit road. The other cars down there, Corey Moore, Nigel Christensen, Kenny Reel, who continues to try to fix his damage from earlier, Johnny Shade, Nick King, Ryan Catalano, Chris Cornett are all down on pit road. It should be noted, a couple of other cars have retired from this race, by the way. Shane Davis in the 79, after the incident up in turn 1 a little while ago, he retired from this race. Alex Coffey has retired from this race after his pair of incidents here in stage 3 in 29th. Aaron Matthews, the other car, they called it a night about 40 laps ago in the 5 for Team Arrow. So a few more cars have put their machines behind the wall. Others still trying to negotiate some late race damage, and that leaves us with basically around 17 cars or so that don't have any form of damage here at the front of the field. With only 37 to go, I got to imagine the attrition is still going to keep on coming. Garcia, Bowie, Fetterplace, Dobbs, Harper, the top 5. But Alex Murray looms, Sean Rogers looms, and some new players loom. Blaine Wilson, Kyle Holden, Chris Vincent, Paul Gallimore, all potentially in the catbird seat if things start to go haywire in front of them.
Yeah, another driver to note just outside that top 10 is that Blake Hoshio machine in that number 38 car. And we talked about him coming to pit road, right? He came with Barry Sanders as well. He's all the way up to 13th after that incident. So another guy to watch with fresher tires compared to the rest of the field in front of him. So we'll see what that 38 machine could do on his debut.
On fresh tires, the best place to be at Darlington late in the race. He's got fresher tires than the leaders do right now, so we'll see what he can do with it with 36 laps to go when we go back green. Nico Garcia, it's not been made easy for him to drive away and capture his first victory. Not only is he in to negotiate caution periods, but he's got Brandon Bowie now alongside him for this another restart. 12th caution cleaned off the racetrack, back to the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone. Green flag will go back in the air. 36 to go from Darlington. Garcia off and running, but almost spins the tires, as does Bowie. Fetterplace gets alongside Bowie as he struggled to get going, and he drives forward to second. How about the power move for Fetterplace in turn 1?
Yeah, great start there by Fetterplace. He's going to be able to lock in P2 and set his sights on that 8 machine. Bowie up into the wall. Harper right behind him. Alan Dobbs, Murray. Now they're side by side going into turn 3 and 4, so we'll see how they sort things out, but we'll see if that 8 machine can start to drive away from Fetterplace.
Not so far. Fetterplace has been better the longer the run has gone tonight, but now showing a little bit of short run speed is that Team Arrow entry. It's been a little bit since Fetterplace went to victory lane on Wednesday nights, looking to get back to victory lane tonight in Darlington. Harper got forward to 4th. He just nailed the wall. A couple more cars nailed the wall. One around. Out back, I think it might have been the Gallimore machine. No, it was not Gallimore. It's a different silver car that was around towards the tail end of the field. It was Barry Sanders. The boss man goes around off turn 2 as a stack-up happened. A couple of cars got the outside wall.
Yeah, it was actually Cody Nagels that came off of turn 2 there. That 16 machine pounced on that wall and it really caught up there. There's another car around.
Oh, trouble. It's Alex Murray who's around the 22. He's going to slide back up, and right as we talked about the comeback, Murray goes for a spin in turn 1 and draws the caution flag.
It's just unfortunate there for that 22 machine. We'll go to the top it off Hot Sauce Company replay here as we ride along. Right now with Murray, he's on the inside of that Alan Dobbs machine going into turn 1. He's going to elect to go low, get underneath that dotted line, come back up, and he's barely going to get into Alan Dobbs, who smacks the outside wall. He shoves the 22 around. Able to lock it down, though, keep it off of that outside wall. No one else hits him, so good wreck avoidance from the rest of the field. But just unfortunate there for Murray, as his race has really gone backwards here in stage 3. Riding along now with Paul Gallimore in that 11 machine. And look at the sight he sees in front of him. Able to keep it up against the wall, keep the gas in it, and able to get around that 22 machine as he spins back up the racetrack.
Unfortunate for Alex Murray, but fortunate that no one got into him there. It's not race-ending damage for the 22. He'll be able to try to salvage something of the ending of this race here with just 32 laps to go. Well, 32 laps from what could potentially be a career-altering victory for the driver leading the race. Let's get a word with Nico Garcia. My partner, Zach Case, stands by with the race leader.
Yeah, Nico Garcia in that 8 machine making his debut tonight at Darlington, leading some laps here late in stage 3. Nico, how does the car feel?
Yeah, man, car feels really good right now. I'm trying to keep some of these fast guys behind me, and just trying to stay as consistent as possible. I had made some wrong adjustments early on, early in the run, so I dropped a lot. But kind of recovered a little bit. Car feels real good now, real comfortable, and just gonna try to stay in front and stay in clean air and just kind of try to get after it tonight. It'd be great to put this thing in victory lane tonight, so that's what we're gonna shoot for.
Yeah, we saw you just talked about the adjustments you made, and in stage 1 and 2 we saw your short run speed, but we saw the fall off start to happen, especially in stage 2 when we had that long 45 lap run. What adjustments did you make? How does the car feel now? And we saw you start to pull away there earlier on in stage 3. How are you going to replicate that the rest of the way?
Yeah, that's a tough part, man. I mean, the adjustments I made early on, I really just I made the car a little too tight, and it just got really pushy on the front end, and being in dirty air didn't help at all. So I loosened it up a little bit, and now that it's in clean air, it feels really good. And if I can stay in front, I'll be good. I just need to stay consistent and then just hit my mark. So I think I'll be okay. There's some fast guys behind me, man. Like, I don't want to downplay that. So I'm just gonna try to stay as fast, consistent, and just stay focused, man. And try to bring this thing home.
Yeah, last question here. We talked about restarts all night. We see the chaos that really happens off of that. How are you making sure you don't really spin those tires? Are you electing to go to the bottom? Do you like the top? What's really your strategy here as we get things going here again?
Yeah, I mean, you're really just you're feathering the throttle, man. Like you're just on the throttle as much as you can until you start to feel it spin, and it's tough. This track is real tough. Tires are real hot, so I mean the track's cooling down now, so there should be a little bit of grip. But yeah, man, just trying to stay as aggressive as I can without going too crazy.
We'll let you focus back in on this restart. Electing to take the bottom this time, so we'll see how things work out for you, and hopefully this run continues in your favor.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Tell you what, Nico Garcia, for a guy 35 laps away from what would be a huge win for him, he sounded pretty calm, collected, confident in what he was going to do here on this restart. Certainly did not feel like many nerves on board the 8 machine, but I got to imagine that's going to change when the field works back into the Van Lilly Stickers restart zone once more. 13th caution cleaned off the racetrack. They're not making it easy on Nico Garcia, but he continues to lead the way with just 35 to go. Green flag back in the air from Darlington this time. Everybody gets off and running. Fetter Place getting a push from Harper. Harper's going to bail to the inside. Fetter Place did not get going well. Bowie back forward to second. Harper tried to get third, couldn't do it. Fetter Place maintains that spot as Sean Rogers all of a sudden is back in the party. He's 5th off turn 2.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that 44 machine as much in this stage 3, but he's going to elect to go to the bottom here in turn 3 and 4. Try to get underneath that Fetter Place machine and that Harper machine, and now he's going to work back. And we have caution on the racetrack. A lot of commotion there in turn 4.
Another multi-car accident over in turn 4. Looks like William Owens is in it. Blaine Wilson is in it as well. Possibility that Johnny Shade is in this in the 45. So a couple of cars are involved in this one. Mark Sanchez is in it. So multiple cars involved over in turn 4. Corey Moore's got some damage as well, the 19 additionally to what he had before. Let's go back and take a look. Our driver in focus, William Owens, is where we're going to start. Over here in turn 4, you see Cornette get a little bit loose, and does William Owens suffer the same fate? Over here in turn 4, there's already smoke in front of him. No, it's a car around actually in front of them. It was Wilson and Sanchez. They get Owens. Big hit there for the 30. Looks like Moore and Shade and all those cars got around it. So it's only Wilson And those couple of other cars, you see Wilson's going to get turned around right here. It's a bit of a stack up into 3. Oh, man, Dobbs. Alan Dobbs in the back of Darren Mills. They get Blaine Wilson sideways. Dobbs pounds the wall. And Sanchez tries to come down to get away from Blaine Wilson. He collects William Owens. Some big hits towards the tail end of that.
Yeah, a lot of trouble there off the restart. It's been a factor all night. Riding alongside here with Alan Dobbs now. He's back in P17 during this incident. You're going to see him get a huge run coming off the corner. A couple cars a little slower. Going to look to go to the inside, look for the gap. He's going to think otherwise. And then unfortunately gets into that 2 machine there and sends everyone flying in turn 3. And that's where the commotion begins.
So another caution flag on the racetrack here just outside of 30 laps to go. We're going to look at another onboard camera. This one from Christensen. He's right in the midst of this stack-up mess that happens on the entry to turn 3. There's the contact between Dobbs and Mills. Wilson is the unfortunate bystander. Dobbs and Mills both pound the wall. So other couple of cars, Owens and Sanchez, come into it at the tail end of turn 4. So the 14th caution here at Darlington is on the speedway with just, again, about 30 laps to go in this one. Actually make it 28, so it'll be 26 to go when we go back under the green flag. And you know, now, obviously, as a driver, I've been in a spot like this before. We talked about rhythm earlier in the race and not being able to have one, but now multiple cautions have come out late in this race. And as a driver sitting in the cockpit, you want this thing to go green. The less laps you have, the further back you are, the less chance you have to win. These drivers are antsy. They just want to get a run going to get to the end of this one.
Yeah, if I'm outside the top 10 right now, I'm really trying to think about my restart, focusing on that, lock in on how my start is, and where am I going to end up in turn 1 and 2? Do I want to be on the bottom? Do I have room to go to the top and get that run coming off of turn 2? Right, but the stack-ups are really happening coming off of turn 2 when it gets really tight. Then you have cars really jockeying for the same position going into turn 3. So if I'm those guys outside the top 10, I want this to go green, especially those guys that are on a different tire strategy, right? With Barry Sanders, with Blake Hochschild. Those are the guys that really want to see this start to go green so they can start to gain some ground.
But who else wants this thing to go green? That's Nico Garcia running first right now. Again, still 26 laps away from what would be his first victory. So he wants this thing to go green so that he can quit riding around behind the pace car and try to knock some of these laps off and get to victory lane. These laps are only going to feel longer as it gets closer to the checkered flag dropping. Still 26 laps away from that, though. If you're just joining us, you have missed a chaotic one tonight from the Lady in Black. We're almost to its conclusion. Nico Garcia looking for win number 1. Green flag back in the air. He almost spins him again. Does Garcia. He does get going. The rear tires get off the racetrack, but Bowie got a better run that time. Harper and Fetter Place battle for 3rd. Battle behind them is for 5th. That's Rogers against Holden for that spot. Harper slides up on Fetter Place. Rogers trying to do the same on Holden as Hochschild, Vincent, and Kenny Reel watch on. Reel and Treat into the top 10.
Yeah, those are 2 guys we haven't talked about in a while. I don't think we've mentioned Jim Treat at all so far this evening, but Kenny Reel, rebounding from his issues earlier on in this race, now finds himself inside the top 10. Give Jim Treat P10 as well. He's inside, but now Murray works inside of him, so put Alex Murray back inside the top 10 as he works his way through turn 2.
Somehow this thing is not over for Alex Murray yet. He went for a spin literally 5 minutes ago. He was backwards in turn 1, and he's already up to the 10th position and challenging for more. Contact! Rogers into Fetter Place. Fetter Place almost slides that car. He'll lose a ton of positions here off turn 4. He'll plummet outside of the top 10 off the bumper of the 44 of Sean Rogers.
Yeah, they were side-by-sides in turn 3 and 4. Great job by Fetter Place there to hold his car together on the outside. A great job from the rest of the field. Hard contact there. Looks like the 44 of the Rogers machine, as now Blake Hochschild tries to reel him in going into turn 3 and 4. We'll see if that 44 has any wheel damage. On board now with Blake Hochschild, really gassing it up coming out of turn 4. He has the tire advantage out of anyone else here in the top 5 in front of him. So we'll see if Hochschild can break into the top 5 in his debut here this season at Darlington, as Rogers looks like he's got a handful of a race car in front of him.
Really, it's the top 5 of the biggest disadvantage in terms of Goodyear Eagles. Garcia, Bowie, Harper, Holden, and Rogers. It's been a minute since those cars have come to pit road and taken a set of tires. Up front, Garcia now has an obstacle to deal with. Alan Dobbs came back out on the racetrack and is throwing some dirty air across the front of Garcia's car, and he has got Brandon Bowie plastered all over his back bumper now. 22 to go. A battle for the win developing, and you're watching on the back bumper of Alan Dobbs. But as soon as we say that, the caution flag is back out again for another incident over in turns 1 and 2. It's Nigel Christensen, the big eSports Toyota that's around on the banking. He has rolled to the apron.
Yeah, it looks like that number 20 machine had some problems there. As we came to the caution, Alex Murray also getting around Blake Hochschild. So put Hochschild down in position. We'll go to the top it off. Hot Sauce Company replay here. So we ride and watch the number 20 car come out of turn 4, side by side there, coming to the stripe. Alongside Jim Treat. As the 20 dips low into turn 1, he's going to come up, smack the outside wall with Jim Treat, and gets tossed around the front corner there. As Jim Treat just really had nowhere to go as those two cars collide in turn 1 and 2.
Again, identical to incidents we've seen throughout the night so far. One car rolls up the racetrack. The car on the outside tries to give him some real estate. That car continues to just work up and up and up. The outside car runs out of room and sandwiches that inside car into the outside wall or into a spin to the inside of the racetrack. Identical there for Christensen and Treat, the 15th caution of the evening from Darlington. So Christensen, a bad night gone worse for him. He had just kind of recovered from his earlier incidents in this race. He gets around again. Jim Treat, we just talked about him. Unfortunate there for him that he got involved in that one in car number 6. Again, if you're just joining us, we're coming to the conclusion tonight. The Moonshiners Racing League GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Victory Designs 275 from Darlington Raceway. Nico Garcia continues to pace the field. Brandon Bowie is second. Timothy Harper is third. Kyle Holden is highest. He's been in the 4th spot. Sean Rogers is back up to 5th. You mentioned Murray getting past Hochschild. They're 6th and 7th. Chris Vincent 8th. Kenny Reel 9th. And Paul Gallimore has gotten his way all the way to 10th. Scratched and clawed his way to the top 10 late in this one. So the 11 is on pace for some pretty good points tonight as well. Another restart upcoming for Nico Garcia, and as we get into these later restarts, you heard Nico Garcia say something really interesting just a moment ago, Zach, and that's that you have to manage the throttle on when the green light comes on, when the green flag is waving, you have to kind of work your way back into the throttle. But the problem is the impulse for a driver on a late restart is to just mash the gas and go. You want to get as good a restart as possible. You know, these guys are going to start to toe the line late in this race. When does it get to be too far is the real question.
I mean, we're going to find out here, and it's going to really come down to the tire spin we're going to see between any of these drivers inside the top 10, I would have to assume. But if you're the driver of the 8 machine, you saw the restart that the 51 was able to get last time, so you're going to try to go a little bit farther than maybe you were on that last restart. You're going to still try to feather that throttle, but you're going to try to push the envelope a little bit more. So we'll see what that 8 machine could do. He's going to elect to go to the bottom once again. A lot of cars coming out of pit road that were fixing damage. And the 51 machine's going to go back up to the top. So we'll see who really manages the throttle the best here between the 8, the 51. You're going to have to count the 23 involved. And look at Kyle Holden, that 97 machine up to P4 right now. He's having a stellar run, really managing his race after getting caught up in some incidents. So we'll see what that 97 can do, and you can't count out that 22 of Alex Murray doing a great job. Biggest mover though tonight, Brandon Bowie in that 51 machine, up plenty of spots, started really far back, able to get some stage points at the end of stage 2, and now he's contending for a race win.
A couple of housekeeping notes. Nigel Christensen continues to sit on pit road fixing damage. William Owens is 5 laps down in the 30. Towards the tail end of the field. A pair of cars still on the racetrack, but running with damage. Garcia has continued to negotiate these restarts time after time. He's been on it. The later this race that it gets, the harder it will get to maintain the lead. 18 to go. Green flag back in the air. Garcia, another good start. Bowie spins the rear tires just a little bit and holds up the outside lane. Holden through the middle. Kyle Holden tried to make it 3 wide. He backs out of it, thinks better of it. Harper works up the racetrack, starts to spin after some contact with Brandon Bowie. Another Bowie and Dig eSports interaction there in turns 1 and 2 as Bowie and Harper come together.
Well, we talked to Bowie earlier during a caution, and he talked about how he was still thinking about that incident with Alex Coffey earlier, and now he adds another one to that. I don't know how much was on Bowie there, but obviously Harper getting the stick there, and he's going to fall all the way back. Another car around on the back stretch, looks like front stretch, excuse me, he keeps it going, but really the sight is now set on that Alex Murray machine up to P4, trying to hunt down that 97.
It was Barry Sanders that got around, and it did not draw the caution flag. He was pancaked into the outside wall and came to a stop on the front stretch. It did not draw the ire of race control. Murray is the man on the move. He gets the rail run off turn 4 to the outside of Holden. Meanwhile, behind them, Harper trying to hold off Blake Hawshield, who's screaming forward on new tires. Murray to third. What an effort this would be. He ran second most of the day. Has had a chaotic Stage 3, a troublesome Stage 3 to say the least, and that's Shamrock Camry. But if he could get back to victory lane, number 1, he'd avenge his teammate that he had to watch crash a couple of times here in Stage 3, but number 2, it would be back-to-back wins for Alex Murray. Won last week at Vegas to break through, now to the outside of Bowie, and Alex Murray is on rails with 15 to go at Darlington. The only car in his windshield is the leader, Nico Garcia.
Now, if I was Brandon Bowie, I would try to hold up Alex Murray a little bit more. Teammates running 1 and 2, but now put Murray up into P2. And the good news is Garcia is starting to run away with this thing, but now Murray's going to start to reel him in as we get later into this race. So one thing to note, maybe Murray has those newer tires after that spin that happened maybe 30, 40 laps ago. But the battle for the lead is definitely going to be on here in the closing seconds here of this race.
Nico Garcia has to be perfect if he wants to win tonight at Darlington. Alex Murray has to be pretty much perfect if he wants to get there. And getting there is one thing, but passing him is another. Garcia in the wall off turn 2. 4/10 separate the 2 leaders. 5 car lengths the difference into turn 3. Now getting there is one thing, passing is another. Garcia does not want to give this up. How far are you willing to go if you're Alex Murray? This is not a track that's easy to pass at. He's going to get there sooner rather than later. Battle for the lead and for the win. And the Victory Designs 275. You're on board with Alex Murray as he hounds Nico Garcia off turn 2. Battle for the lead is on.
And if you're Alex Murray, you just want to continue to have the runs. He's going to look inside here on that 8 machine, diving down low into turn 3. Murray's going to get the advantage. We'll see the big run coming from the 8 car on the outside. It's not going to be enough, though. Put the leader now as the 22 of Alex Murray. He'll slide up in front of that 8 machine, and we have a new race leader.
A spirited run for Alex Murray to get back to the front. He was spun around a little while ago. He's been in a couple of crashes. He's been on the wrong end of a couple of strategy calls, and he's driven all the way back to the point, and now he's driving away from the field with just 12 laps to go. Still a ways to go before he can finish it, of course. Still some chaos likely up the sleeve of the field behind him, so we'll see if this one goes all the way to its completion or if we do have one more caution period coming at some point in the race. You know Murray doesn't want to see that as he starts to try to set sail. Garcia maintains second for now. He's relegated back to the second spot. Then it's Bowie and Holden. That might become a battle for third here momentarily. Behind them, bit of a hornet's nest. Timothy Harper is 5th. He's followed immediately by Blake Hawshield in 6th. Sean Rogers is 7th. Kenny Reel is 8th. And Paul Gallimore is 9th. Battle just in front of Reel as a couple of cars get into the fray up there. That is I believe that is the Harper and Hawshield cars, and it is. Harper trying to hold on. Hawshield trying to get a top 5 finish for him in his first start in the 38 as he works on the 23. Rogers works on him. This is a mess back here around the 5th position as those 4 go at it. Meanwhile, the gap up to 1 second. Alex Murray is setting sail.
Yeah, we're looking at this battle right now for 5th with Harper and Hawshield. As Hawshield hits the wall up in turn 3, he's going to get the rubber band effect, try to get the run off of the corner. But one thing I'm noticing with Harper is he has tapped the outside wall 3 or 4 times the past couple of laps. He's going to be into the wall coming off of turn 4. He still keeps that gap though in front of that 38 machine, but this is definitely one of the better battles. Another battle though picking up is that battle for third between Bowie and Kyle Holden.
Kyle Holden right in the tire tracks to Brandon Bowie. You heard Bowie talk about earlier when we got a chance to speak with him under one of the caution periods that his car, as the run goes on, it fades away from him a little bit. Kyle Holden has felt like the opposite. That car's gotten better as this race has gone on and better as the run has gone on. Earlier when we had that long green flag run, Holden was best at the end of that stage. He now is right in the tire tracks of Brandon Bowie here at the front of the field. Arrow runs 2, 3, and 4. Of their stable cars, should I say, here at the front of the field. Of course, Murray and Harper run 1 and 5, teammates for Dig eSports. Another battle back towards the tail end of the top 10, actually just outside the top 10. Hunter Carmichael underneath Brandon Fetterplace. This would be for 11th. Fetterplace hangs on to it. The battle for third is on, and in fact, Holden makes the pass. Brandon Bowie lets him go into turn 1. as Kyle Holden drives forward to the final podium position in car number 97. He does not really have time to get back to the leader, Murray, with 2.5 seconds of gap to go back on. See the pass right here. Bowie, interestingly enough, lifts out of the throttle. It looked like potentially to give Holden the lane. Actually lifted out way early there. So you talked about Brandon Bowie earlier with some teammate help. He gives his teammate some right there with Kyle Holden.
What a run for this 97 machine. We talked about him a little bit here and there in stage 1 and 2, running inside the top 10, just outside the top 10. Now he finds himself looking at his sights on that 8 machine of Garcia. We talked about those Aero machines though, running 2, 3, and 4 right now. We'll see if Kyle Holden can get to the 8, but it looks like Alex Murray's just walking off with this thing.
Tell you what, a couple of teams having banner days. Of course, Dig eSports runs 1 and 5. Alex Murray is 5 laps away. Gets the 5 at the flag stand that time from back-to-back wins for Alex Murray. Should he go to victory lane tonight? Wilson to the inside of Rio. That's for 9th. But a couple of teams having banner days. You talk about Aero 2, 3, 4. Dig 1 and 5. Blake Hawshield runs in the 6th spot. That's a great run for him so far in this race. For 0x Sim Racing as he tries to finish it off in his first start. Here's Gallimore to the inside of Rogers. That is for 7th. Not sure where the speed came from all of a sudden. Oh my goodness, Paul Gallimore right across the nose of his teammate Sean Rogers there for Beast Mode Performance. That's another team that needed a good day tonight, needed to have some recovery, and has 7th and 8th for the BMP machines in this field as Rio look to the inside of Wilson. Wilson finally going to get the better of him there for 9th, but as the stack up happens in front, Rio gets the spot back. May try to make it 2 for 1. Contact off turn 2. Be careful back here around the tail end of the top 10 as they almost brought the caution out.
Yeah, that got really tight. It's a hornet's nest right now in turn 3 and 4. Sean Rogers leading the way of that group as Wilson battles on the outside of him. Put Kenny Real on the inside there. As another car looks like spins around, but he'll keep it going forward. As now Wilson gets around Rogers there going into turn 1. Put Carmichael on the outside of Sean Rogers as it looks like Rogers is struggling in that 44.
These guys have to be careful and maintain here for just a couple of more laps, at least in the mind of Alex Murray, as he cannot see this going on, but these guys getting awfully close to the edge of control as he'll get the 2 at the flag stand now. 2 laps to go for Alex Murray. As he works back around, he is 2 laps away from another big victory back-to-back if he can make it happen.
I mean, what a season so far for Alex Murray. We talked about him struggling a little bit earlier on. He's able to get the win in Las Vegas. And kind of what happened was Brandon Bowie's now handing over the reins to Alex Murray. So a couple solid performances from the 51 and also the 22, but we have the white flag on the racetrack.
White flag is up, brought to you by League Gaming. 1.3 miles to go from Darlington for Alex Murray. It took him a little bit. He had a great start to the season, but he could not get to victory lane, even on nights where it felt like he had the best car and the best opportunity. Once he broke through at Las Vegas, they often say the first one is the hardest to get. And boy, did he prove that tonight. Adversity goes by the wayside. It'll be back-to-back victories for the rookie for Dig eSports. And now he avenges his teammate. Alex Murray wins at Darlington.
What a race by Alex Murray. We had a couple cars get spun around there in turn 2. Blake Hawshield coming back to the line. He was involved. Alan Dobbs was involved. It looks like the 88 machine was also involved. So Hawshield dropping to P12, but what a solid performance out of that 22. We talked about him struggling there as Dig Motorsports was 1, 2, 3 to start stage 3. Murray goes around halfway through stage 3 and he's able to battle back from outside the top 10 and drive his way to the front. So hats off to that 22 machine conquering the Lady in Black tonight.
So it's Murray that will get the win. He'll have a couple of stable cars come up here. Give him a little bump for the victory. Of course, his teammate Timothy Harper will come around and congratulate him as well. So it's back-to-back victories and another trip to Victory Design's victory lane for Alex Murray. He'll get to do the donuts on the front stretch here from the Lady in Black.
And really setting up his season now. We talked about him having a really good car all season long at the beginning stages of this 2026 season. Able to get a strong performance at Coda, and then unfortunately got caught in some things. Comes out to Las Vegas, gets the victory there, and then tonight getting the win at Darlington. Not really a dominating performance, but one of the better cars, finishing P2 in both stages, right? Gets caught up in some things in stage 3, but he's able to keep his cool, drive back through the field to get around some key players earlier on and set himself up for a great finish there. So hats off to that 22 machine, able to burn it down here on the front stretch.
Yeah, well-earned celebration for him for sure here on the front stretch of the Shamrock Camry. We'll do some more donuts, and again, you think a back-to-back win doesn't mean much for him. He continues to do donuts here on the front stretch, and he very well beats that car on the front stretch and run the motor right out of it, doing donuts as he finishes his celebration. Well, as Alex Murray starts to work through his celebrations and capture his thoughts, we'll talk to the top 3 in a moment. We'll also go through the results in a moment. We're going to step away for just a quick word here before we get the race results and get into post-race coverage from Darlington. Stay with us here on Precision Entertainment. Post-race coming up from the Lady in Black after this. Post-race now underway from Darlington Raceway after what was arguably the most chaotic race so far this 2026 season. Alex Murray captures his second victory of the year and his second straight win tonight in Darlington over Nico Garcia. Heartbreak for the 8, but still a really good run. Nothing to hang his hat on tonight. Kyle Holden goes third with Brandon Bowie in fourth. Another pair of really strong runs. Same with Timothy Harper back in the 5th spot. BMP with some representation in the top 10. That's what the doctor ordered for Paul Gallimore. He goes 6th. Blaine Wilson was quiet tonight but finished in 7th. Recovery, the name of the game for Kenny Reel and Corey Moore, 8th and 9th. Sean Rogers for BMP completes a couple of BMP cars in the top 10 finishers.
Now looking just outside the top 10 here, Chris Vincent with a good run in P11. Blake Hochschild falling to P12 there on the final lap. Unfortunately got caught up with some other cars. Nick King bouncing back for a P13 finish. And then Cody Nagels, P14. Jim Treat bouncing back for a P15 finish. Mark Sanchez, Darren Mills, 16th and 17th respectfully. And Brandon Fetterplace falling back to P18. Chris Cornett finishing P19 after being caught up in some stuff. And Johnny Shade finishing P20 after falling earlier on in this one.
Tough breaks for Hochschild and Fetterplace there on that final lap of that exchange. Alan Dobbs, 21st, ran as well as 4th tonight. Fell off late in this race, finished 21st. Jose Medina, 22nd. Hunter Carmichael crashes late along with Nigel Christensen. They finished 23rd and 24th. Barry Sanders, William Owens, Ryan Catalano all had their fair share of chaos, 25th, 26th, and 27th. And then some of the cars that retired earlier in tonight's race. Shane Davis, 28th. Alex Coffey in 29th. The dominant car of the night could not get the job done after a couple of incidents in Stage 3. And Aaron Matthews finishes into the 30th spot. A couple more cars on the grid. Matt Metler and Matt Cox both had issues earlier in our 200-lap race distance. And we'll start to get an idea of what the top 3 had to say after this chaotic one from Darlington Raceway. We'll start with the man on the final step of the podium, Kyle Holden for Team Aero. Kyle, this one was as wild as any race we've seen over the past about 8 months of Moonshiners Racing League action. Take us through the roller coaster for you throughout the last 200 laps.
Yeah, I mean, it started out pretty decent. A couple of those cautions moved us up to like top 10 for a while. And then we were just kind of trucking on, trying to keep it clean, not get into anyone. There was a couple of cautions there that kind of helped us stay up there. And then we ended up spinning our tires a little bit on one of them restarts and got ourselves in the back there in a little bit of a pickle. But we ended up just kind of keeping it clean, driving around the wrecks that were happening, got ourselves in a good spot to kind of save our, had our tires saved to push at the end, and had a good run at the end there. Was hoping we could add a couple more laps. I think I would have got Nico.
Well, look, last September in Darlington was a different aerodynamics package on this Gen 7 race car than we have now. A little bit more horsepower, a little bit less downforce. What did you guys notice as drivers, the differences in the race car testing and practicing getting ready for this race as compared to the playoff date back in September?
Yeah, without the diffuser and the little bit more power, I don't really think the power does too much. But without the diffuser, this car is it's all over the place. It's hard to be very consistent, stay on the line that you want to. You can't even go up to the top anymore, really, in 3 and 4, unless you're like really pushing it and really want to burn them tires. So it's very difficult. But luckily, we were able to make it through.
Pretty good start to the season for you so far. Came into tonight 8th in the point standings. Will surely gain a couple of spots leaving now, but some wild cards coming up. Of course, Martinsville, Bristol, Talladega, all on the horizon. Some crazy things can happen at those tracks. What is the game plan to avoid the chaos at those places and maintain this good start to 2026?
Yeah, definitely going to practice a little bit of qualifying. Qualifying is going to mean a lot at these tracks, and staying up front, especially at these short tracks, to avoid the accidents that happen behind you. So definitely going to practice a little bit of qualifying here, get myself a little bit better on that, and hopefully we can just keep ourselves clean throughout the race. It's going to be difficult at these 2 short tracks. Talladega is always a hit or miss, so we'll hopefully have a good car just to kind of battle it out until the end.
Third for you tonight in Darlington. So before we let you go and catch your breath and prep for next week in Martinsville, any thank yous or shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, of course. Just huge thank you to the league, Barry for putting on, all the admins for dealing with all of us hooligans. Huge shout out to Simrat Market for being the sponsor on the car. Always love them. Head over there for any of your painting needs. They got some great stuff. And then huge shout out to all the league sponsors, the league sponsors, AASM, One to Go, Venelli stickers, RS button boxes, Simrat Market, Corridor Automotive, GMD for sponsoring the league, Impact Sim Designs. All of them, you're doing great things.
Kyle, thanks for the time. Congrats on the third place effort tonight. We'll see you next week at the Paperclip.
Appreciate it.
Kyle Holden goes third tonight from Darlington Raceway. We'll move now to the second step of the podium. It's heartbreak for the 8 of Nico Garcia, but again, nothing to hang his head on tonight. Our second place finisher stands by with my partner, Zach Case.
Well, Nico Garcia making his debut tonight in this league and in this season. Nico finished in P2 tonight. What happened there in the final 20 laps?
Yeah, man, it's heartbreak, but man, what a fun night. It just didn't have the tire. Alex made a really good decision to pit, took some tires, and it just pays off, man. I had a feeling if we didn't get a caution, if we didn't get one more caution within the last 20 laps, I knew he was going to catch us. I mean, that tire difference is just massive. I think when we went green, the tire set I had, I mean, whether it was race laps or caution laps, I mean, I had to have every bit of 40, 50 laps on those tires. So they were really, really, really cooked. I was just trying to hang on to it, and it stinks, but I had a great night. Otherwise, I'll take a second place finish on a debut night in any league, especially in a league like this. And there's a lot of talent out here, so it's fun to get after it and then beat guys like Brendan Bowie and Alex Murray and Alex Kofi. I know he had a tough night tonight, but I know there's some fast guys in here, so I'll take it.
I mean, obviously making your debut tonight, running up front, leading laps, plenty of restarts from the control car side of things. How was this experience, and what are you going to take away from tonight's effort moving forward?
I mean, I had a really successful night on restarts. The car just felt really good and planted. Felt like I had a lot of grip on restarts, which didn't look like a whole lot of other people did. So I made a lot of room, put myself out there. Sometimes about 0.8 to a whole second on second place. So really just takeaways tonight, man, and just stay hungry. Maybe be a little bit more tentative on cautions and what the tires look like. But I mean, really overall, just a huge night for this 8 team and for the Aero guys tonight for sure.
Yeah, speaking of Aero, your team had a great job tonight, obviously running all up mainly in the top 10 there, but specifically for you now next week we go to Martinsville. We have an off week, then we go to Bristol. We have Talladega coming up on the schedule. We have a road course coming up in Watkins Glen. What is your strategy the next couple of weeks as we get into some different style of tracks?
Man, honestly, it's going to just be put in a whole lot of seat time. I think the tracks that we have coming up, especially with Martinsville and Bristol, I I mean, they're short, but they're tough. I think they can be physically demanding, and they need a lot. You just need a lot of concentration. So just really, put some seat time in, and then just kind of go from there. But really, just try to survive. I would say the next 2 weeks with Martinsville and Bristol coming up, survive and just try to make it, be one of the last cars there and see what happens. But definitely, that's definitely going to be one of the goals there.
Anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Big props to Arrow. I appreciate those guys letting me, jump on the team and drive this 8 Chevrolet, and it's a big honor, and I really appreciate it. Big shout out to SimRent Market, another sponsor on the car. Elwood Designs, eSports. Those guys definitely help. We every week in, week out, put the work in and get some testing in. And then you guys up in the booth, man. You guys are, broadcasts look phenomenal. I have family, friends, my dad, girlfriend, Cece, everybody hanging out, watching. You guys put on a great show, man. So thanks for letting us do what we do and put on a show for all the fans and all the watchers tonight.
Well, we appreciate the shout out, Nico, and obviously a great job tonight, impressive debut with a P2 finish, and we look forward to seeing you more the rest of the season. Now headed over to Victory Designs Victory Lane here with Alex Murray. He's standing alongside Dawson.
Well, look, Alex Murray, it took a little bit to break through, but last week at Las Vegas, it felt like you kind of got the monkey off your back. Does it feel that way now? You come back from all sorts of adversity tonight, get involved in crashes, the strategy doesn't really go your way. Despite all that, you still come away with another trip to Victory Designs Victory Lane. Does it finally feel like you're kind of moving in the right direction in terms of the victories column?
Yeah, I mean, we look for consistency every week, and we got lucky tonight. Getting wrecked in 1 and 2 there with Allen kind of forced my hand at getting tires, and it ended up being the right strategy to be on. So it just kind of worked out in our favor there. We definitely had the best car all night. Just, the cards weren't in our favor early there with Coffee getting wrecked and the strategy kind of bouncing around. But we were all definitely the best car out there tonight. Hands down, the best, most fun race I've had at Darlington, and I couldn't tell you how long. And shout out to everybody at Dig and Precision for busting their butt. I guess it would be last week, getting this thing so good so we come out here and win tonight.
Well, another victory, back-to-back victories for you. And obviously, we talk about some of the guys high up in the point standings having some problems tonight. Getting the victory is going to create a very interesting point scenario headed to next week where likely you're going to have a pretty big advantage and be deep inside the top 3 in the points. As we get into kind of the meat of the schedule, to have this kind of start to the season, what does it do for you as a driver? We go back to the season-long format, obviously this year with the impact of Sim Design's Chase. To have this kind of start, now to rack up 2 wins, what does that do for you as a driver in terms of your confidence level and, how you go about prepping for some of these races in the meat of the schedule?
I mean, really, we just need to be at the end of these things. We haven't had the best luck early to start the season, but here as of late, we've put everything together. I've calmed down a little bit, had to get in a different mentality because it's not a win and you're in anymore. You got to be consistent throughout the season. So it's important to just finish races, even if you're finishing 15th. So really just have to be consistent throughout the whole year. And now that we have the momentum on our side, I feel like we can keep racking up, wins, top 5s, and hopefully keep it rolling.
Speaking of being there at the end of these things, obviously looking forward now, Martinsville coming up, Bristol coming up after the off week, Talladega on the horizon, a couple of road courses. We get into some very chaotic styles of racing. We obviously know how good the Dig eSports camp was at the super speedways to open the season. What is the game plan to kind of keep the momentum rolling, not only for you as a driver, but for you guys as a team?
Just keep doing what we're doing. It's working so far, so don't fix what's not broke, The cars have been really good all year. It's just we've been put in bad spots or made mistakes that have put us in bad spots, gotten wrecked a couple times, and just unfortunate things have happened, but we've been fast all year, so we're not going to change anything that we're doing. We're just going to keep digging.
Keep taking it's what you did tonight. Another trip to Victory Designs Victory Lane. A bit of a flu game performance from what I've been told. So before we let you go and celebrate this win from Darlington, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, Shamrock Auto Care, Precision Setups.gg, Pay RVA, Dig eSports, obviously. We all work so well together throughout the week to prepare for these things and, team practices and everything like that to make sure our setups are top notch going into these with the different weather. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and hopefully keep racking up the wins.
You rack up another one tonight, second one of the season for you. Congrats on the victory tonight from Darlington. We'll see you next week in Martinsville.
Thanks, Dawson.
Alex Murray, a race winner from the Lady in Black. He conquers the track Too Tough to Tame tonight and takes the trip to Victory Designs Victory Lane for not only the second time this season, but the second week in a row after his win in Las Vegas. Well, if you thought we'd get a break from the chaos, I hate to tell you, we will not be getting one. Next week, we go to a place even more wild than this, the Paperclip Martinsville Speedway, the host of next week's event here on Precision Entertainment for the Moonshiners Racing League GMD Janitorial Cup Series. Action begins at 8 p.m. Eastern. Right here on Precision Entertainment. Looking forward to what should be an insane one from Martinsville next week. Of course, the off week in Bristol followed up after that. As we start to wrap things up here from Darlington, though, Zach, it was about as wild as we thought it would be. A bit of a new package on these next-gen race cars tonight contributed to some crazy racing. Stage 3, the attrition factor kicked in, but in the end, Alex Murray, the class of the field, gets his second straight win at the Lady in Black.
I mean, Alex Murray just put together a complete race, right? Finishing P2 in both Stage 1, Stage 2, able to get around some issues there, maybe in the early part of Stage 3. Took those tires on lap 169 there and was able to really battle back outside the top 10 and make his way to the win. So back-to-back wins for Alex Murray. That dig machine's really cooking right now, and obviously the aero machines are also doing a great job. So we're really heating up for a good battle going into Martinsville next week.
Alex Murray heating up with his second straight win, and several teams headed the right direction as the season starts to heat up. Like you said, Zach, this season is really starting to kick into full gear as we get ready to head to Martinsville next week. Alex Murray burns it down tonight in Darlington after a chaotic one. We want to thank you all so much for your attendance to tonight's race. Thank you for your viewership here on Precision Entertainment. I want to thank my broadcast crew as well as the league sponsors before we get out of here for the evening. My co-host tonight was Zach Case. I want to thank Axel Smith for doing our social media work tonight. Our producer downstairs was Ryan Bauer doing fantastic work on the production controls. Again, I want to thank all of you for watching. Hope you'll join us next week from Martinsville. I want to thank all the sponsors of tonight's race. Of course, GMD Janitorial, their sponsorship of the Cup Series, all the sponsors that we mentioned throughout tonight's race, as well as Victory Designs, their sponsorship of the Victory Designs 275. Till then, it is time for us to head out from here as we look forward to the Paperclip next week. Thank you again so much all for watching. Congratulations to Alex Murray and Dig eSports for their win tonight at the Lady in Black as Alex Murray conquers the track Too Tough to Tame. Goodbye for now. Good night. Have a great week. We'll see you next week in Martinsville.
Grip in the neon light, trading pain in the heart of the fight, shifting gears till the edge feels right, start 'em up, hear the engines cry, let the thunder roll, leave no doubt, all or nothing when the checkers come out, doors beating doors in an all-out fight, this is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night! Legends born in the heat of the fight, trading pain under stadium lights, racing roots run deep here, we're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers on record. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night.